Wales have been drawn to face Bosnia and Herzegovina in their first match of the World Cup playoffs. But as European football expert Kevin Hatchard explains, things may get a little awkward if Northern Ireland beat Italy.
You have a situation where if Wales were to come through against Bosnia and Northern Ireland were to come through against Italy, they would play each other for a place at the World Cup.
Meanwhile, the Republic of Ireland will face Czechia, then one of Denmark or North Macedonia. Elsewhere, we know Scotland have already qualified, but would they want Harvey Barnes? There's talk the Newcastle forward may switch allegiances, having only played one friendly game for England 5 years ago. He qualifies for Scotland through his grandparents, and talkSPORT's Gabby Agbonlahor reckons he should go for it.
He's got to look at, is this his last chance to maybe go to a World Cup? And look at the pecking order. We've got Gordon, Rashford, you've got Eze. There's not really that position available at the moment for him to break in. He's not been in outstanding form.
There are reports Crystal Palace have held conversations with Jean-Philippe Mateta over a new contract. Get more on that at talksport.com. And on the eve of the Ashes, a former Aussie batter has admitted to talkSPORT that baseball is actually popular down under.
There's no doubt it's brought a difference to point a difference to Test cricket, and there's a time and place for it. However, it's going to be a challenge to try and do it here, particularly at Optus Stadium and maybe the Gabba with a pink ball.
With the first Ashes test just hours away, Aussie captain Steve Smith decided to have a go at Monty Panesar's appearance on Mastermind.
Anyone that believes that Athens is in Germany, that's a start. Oliver Twist is a season of the year, and America is a city. Doesn't really bother me, those comments. So
it's after Monty said the Barmy Army should get on Smith's back about his role in the Sandpapergate ball tampering scandal. Meanwhile, Australia confirmed 2 debutants for Perth tomorrow, opening bat Jake Weatherald and seam bowler Brendan Doggett. Ben Stokes calls this the defining moment of his England captaincy, and he knows how many fans are heading out.
When we got your time off and we try and get out and about, there's a lot of English people here, so yeah, really looking forward to what kind of reception we're going to get tomorrow.
There's loads of content and build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Play starts around 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Remember, talkSPORT has live updates.
Good evening, this is Kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me it's the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant. Coming up, we're looking ahead to the weekend's football as the Premier League returns after the final international break of 2025, and there's loads to get into. Who will prevail in the North London derby? Can Manchester City keep pressure on the league leaders Arsenal as they travel to Newcastle on Saturday night? We'll be discussing Liverpool after the former Reds defender Jamie Carragher has urged the club to spend more money in January despite forking out nearly £500 million on new players this summer. You can have your say on all of that and all the weekend's fixtures as well if you want to get involved. 03717 223344. And a bit later on, we're going to be joined in the studio by the former Premier League defender Steven Caulker. He'll be lifting the lid on what it's like playing abroad, coaching as well, and his struggles with his mental health during his career. Plus, we'll be hopeful to head down under to look ahead to the first test of the Ashes even, which gets underway tomorrow morning. Can England claim a first Ashes victory in Australia since 2011? Lots for us to get stuck into. We want you to get involved too. As I say, you can call us on 03717 223344. You can WhatsApp us there, and you can text us to 81089. Join us on Kickoff on talkSPORT. Jermaine, how are you doing?
Hello, Natalie.
You well?
I'm good, thank you.
First thing you said to me when you walked in is, how's it got so cold so quick?
Literally.
It's freezing. Everyone, nobody needs a reminder of that, but it's crazy how cold it is suddenly.
It is, and I've got golf planned tomorrow, and now I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
regretting it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're now starting to think, how can I get away with not doing that?
Yeah, no, I'll just wrap up. It's okay.
Have you got your thermals?
I've got thermals, but you get quite warm playing golf.
No, that is the problem.
You do, so you don't want too much layers. You don't want to feel too hot.
That's it. It's like when you're coming into work. You got to dress up because you know you're going to be out and about in the elements. But when you're on the tube or when you get into work, you're suddenly a bit like, ugh, everything's a little bit too hot at the moment. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, we have a lot to get stuck into.
Yes, we do.
As we mentioned, the Premier League returns this weekend. So let's start by discussing perhaps the big one of the weekend as Arsenal host Spurs for the first North London derby of the season.
It is one of English football's iconic fixtures.
And Lennon has equalised!
Magical game. Everybody knows.
Theo Walcott through the centre. He's going to beat the goalkeeper for a second time. Is he? Yes, he is! 5 goals they've scored after going 2-0 down.
Probably the nicest game of the season to watch and to play.
A moment of absolute magic from Harry Kane.
Drama aplenty.
This is going to be absolutely massive.
This is the North London derby.
Trossard putting the shot in. He does.
They've been outstanding so far this season.
They can't maintain this level of impregnability.
Christian Romero. Polina!
Concerns me this weekend, Spurs' away form.
Tottenham fans are already asking whether Thomas Frank is a little bit too pragmatic.
I'm very aware that we haven't been free-floating.
It is a feisty derby, a test of credentials.
This is something that is in our hands.
Oh, building up nicely then to the return of the Premier League. And it is Arsenal who are the league leaders. As you know, they're 4 points clear of Manchester City. Tottenham, though, and they're not doing too badly under Thomas Frank. They're 5th in the table, although some Tottenham fans are a little unsure still of Thomas Frank. And that might be down to what you heard him saying there about not perhaps playing the free-floating football, as he called it. What have you made of both sides so far?
Start with the league leaders. I think they've been fantastic. Yeah. Really looking impressive and solid and just keep building year on, year out. But it was good to see someone actually score against them. Sunderland get the 2. No. I mean, it's good to see that they can be gutter and they do leak goals and
they have to be tested at times. Like that.
100%.
As in conceding and how they cope with that.
Yeah, you got to see where your boundaries are. You're going to see what your length is, how far you can go, and what you can take. And the game against Sunderland, it was a difficult one. Conceding 2 goals after that, there's 8 clean sheets in a row. But it's the Premier League. You will concede goals, and they're not going to go the whole season without. And I just think, but at the moment, they're in a great place. They, as a team, they're defensively sound. Not just you talk about the centre-backs and the defence. It's as a team. You got the wingers coming back, helping out. The defensive midfielder, Rice, all putting in a shift to make it the reason why they've got a clean sheet. It's not down to the defence. It's down to the whole team.
I mean, it was an incredible run that they were on. Was it 8 games in a row where they hadn't conceded? So in some ways, it's then baffling that they do go and concede 2 like they did against.
It was just a matter of time, though.
I suppose so. Like we heard from Danny Murphy, that he was even saying, look, they're not going to be able to sustain it. It's just not possible, especially now that we're getting into this part of the season, the sort of Christmas period where it's just hectic and full on. There'll be some weariness at times.
Yeah, this is the part of the season where you see a big shift in the Premier League. You see a big shift in teams and where they are, where they all start off on fire and you think, they're going to do well. And then come on when you get to January, all of a sudden the mid-table maybe fighting relegation. That's how crazy this period of the season is, because there's loads of games come thick and fast. There's injuries, and some teams do find it difficult, especially around this period. So I think for everybody, it's going to be testing times. Actually, everybody.
We'll come on to the Gabriel injury and what you make of it and how that's going to perhaps be an issue for Arsenal over the next couple of months, as we expect him to be out for a period of time. But just a quick word on Tottenham. What do you make of the Thomas Frank Tottenham we're seeing?
It's weird because they play away, they seem to be great. Then they play at home where you think, that's their strength, and they're flattered to see. So they're not... It's like he's not got the balance yet. They've not got there yet, and you're seeing good performances in some games, and then some other games you question yourself, going, "Oh, is this Spursy? Are they back? Have they got rid of that tag?" So I understand why the fans are questioning, is he the right man for the job, because they've not seen any consistency.
But it's interesting you sort of say that, because you're absolutely right on their home and away form, so contrasting. They've got the joint most points on the road, and yet they've got the second worst home records in the Premier League. Now, do you think there's an element, and as a player you will speak better on this than anyone, in the sense that can sometimes the pressure from the home fans be the issue, that they're just struggling to deal with that at this present moment?
We talk about fans being the 12th man at times, especially the home fans. As much as that can be a plus, sometimes it's a negative, because when you're playing at home, you hear the moans, you feel the tension, and that goes through the whole squad, goes through the managers, goes through the coaches. Everyone can feel that tension. So then the players are like a little bit hesitant to play freely, because they don't want the fans on the back. They don't want to hear those moans.
Don't want to make mistakes.
No. But then when you hear those cheers, when you put in a tackle, it lifts you. So there's pros and cons to having fans who get behind you and then also then get on your back. And that's why you see teams sometimes when they play away from home, it's less, they've got nothing to, not fear, but there's less pressure. You don't hear those moans. It's all from the away team, and you kind of get that, and that's different. So there's something not right, because you don't put in these performance away, but then you've got at home where you're the favourite, and you're flatter to deceive.
Yeah. Obviously, it then makes it really interesting by the fact that Tottenham are heading to the Emirates, where Arsenal have been formidable, it has to be said. But I mentioned Gabriel, and he could be out for a significant period of time, 2 months after picking up an injury whilst playing for Brazil. Is that a big blow
Massive.
to lose him? Yeah.
Absolutely massive. In this current period right now, absolutely massive. We talk about his defensive qualities and his relationship and partnership with Saliba, which at the moment, 8 clean sheets, is the best pairing in the league, without a shadow of a doubt.
5 goals so far.
There you go. And yes, it's also, you've got to account for the team to help that out. But more importantly than the defensive side, it's the attacking side that they're going to miss. He's from set pieces. He scored from set piece. He's got 2 assists from the set piece and the flick-ons. What it is about him is that he's a nuisance. He's a threat. So every player on that defending team knows that he's going to take a lot of concentration. He's going to take all the eyes and all the pressure. So if he's not there, it's like, right, their main guy's not here. Saliba, we don't need to. We worry, but he's not their best header.
Gotcha.
All the other
that
players.
Physical threat.
It's what he gives is the best header in that team. Not having that for they've scored the most goals by set pieces. Now to take your power header away, your main guy who takes all the attention, and people go, "Oh, Gabriel, where is he? Where is he?" You putting your best header on him. Now that's gone away. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt.
So in some ways, does that not then, for Spurs, make them think, actually, we can go into this one maybe with a bit more confidence?
Well, I think they'll go into confidence knowing that their away form is so good.
Yeah.
Let's say, look, we know how good we are away. We need to freshen up and tighten up our home form. But away, let's stick to our game plan. Let's stick to the way we're doing. We all do it. We all look at the team sheet. We all see who's injured, who's out. They'll be on that training pitch come today or tomorrow, going, right, Gabriel's not there. Set pieces. That will give them a little lift. So they'll be going into this game, I won't say confidence, but they'll be more than they were when Gabriel was fit. But Arsenal are still probably favourites in this. They're not won at Emirates or Arsenal for a long time. But it's going to be interesting.
Let's quickly hear from now former Premier League striker Darren Bent, of course, who was alongside Andy Goldstein on Drive yesterday, as he was today, speaking about the squad depth that Arsenal now have and how it might be better that they can deal with these injury setbacks.
That's what you got a squad for. Like Arsenal have got.
But he's a massive part.
No.
He's not just a massive part of your defence, but when you have set pieces, he's your man, right?
Set pieces, personality, leadership, of course.
Personality?
Yeah.
Was he crack a gag?
No, but you need personality, like in terms of like.
You don't know what his personality is like.
No, but you can see it on the pitch. Like if one of his teammates gets into it, he's there behind him.
Okay.
That type of personality.
Leadership
personality. Yeah. So, it's going to be difficult, but you've got to get on with it. You've got to rise above it. And Arsenal have got, like, Mosquera's been very good. In Cappy, he's shown. Calafiori could play left side centre half. So there are options there.
And I guess that's why this summer window was so important for Arsenal, in the sense that they have bolstered, because they have to in the past have not been able to deal with those injury issues.
Yeah, they've obviously learned from their mistakes. They've seen for some reason that they seem to get a lot of injuries throughout the season, and they've probably Arteta spoke to the board, the medical staff, and said, "Look, we need to address this. We need to start getting cover. We need to start getting replacements in and a stronger depth, because that probably cost them a league or two, not having that depth, having key players out." And they've addressed it. They've gone out in the transfer market, done ever so well, and got players in who, when they step in, there's not a massive difference. Where before there was a big drop off. If there was no Saka or no Marseille, there was a big drop off. He's putting in kids. He's putting in, midfielders on the way. It was crazy. So now they've seen like they have got the best squad in the league, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, we'll continue to talk about the North London derby, of course, a little bit later on. We're going to be joined by the Arsenal podcaster, Rory Talks Ball, as we build up to this huge game this coming Sunday. If you've got a view on it, why not give us a call, 03717 2233 44. We'll also bring you the latest odds as the Premier League returns. But you're tuning into Kickoff this Thursday night with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. evening. You're tuning into Kickoff on talkSPORT with Jermaine Pennant and me, Natalie Sawyer. We're taking you through until 10. Now, shortly we'll continue our North London derby build-up with Arsenal fan and podcaster Rory Cook. But first, Chelsea take on Barcelona in the Women's Champions League. It kicks off at 8 o'clock tonight. Ian Abrahams is going to be keeping a close eye on this one for us. And, he can bring us up to speed with the situation of both clubs in the league phase.
Yeah, the situation is that Chelsea find that they have their biggest task so far in the Champions League this season. Sonia Bonpastor only lost 2 games last year as Chelsea manager, both to Barcelona in the semi-final, 4-1 on both occasions, and Barca come into this as top scorers in the competition. Dual Ballon d'Or winners Alexia Petreas and Aitana Bonmati both start in midfield. Leah Alexandri, who used to play at Manchester United, and Ona Bataya, also Manchester United, also start tonight. Chelsea, meanwhile, make 4 changes to the side that drew at Liverpool at the weekend. Out to the bench go Millie Bright, Charles Writing, Canarid and Macario. In come Naomi Girma, Lucy Bronze, Sandy Baltimore and Aggie Beaver-Jones. So Peng is in goal, still no Hannah Hampton. Carpenter, Bjorn, Girma and Bronze across the back. Walsh in front of them. A 4 in midfield of Baltimore, Captain Cuthbert and Alicia Thompson with Beaver-Jones up front. As I say, this is a real test for Chelsea and Sonia Bonpastor here tonight. Should be a crowd of over 10,000 at the Bridge for Chelsea against Barcelona.
Ian, thank you very much. We'll have updates then throughout. It's time to get an odds update now with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Alex Zapati, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm down in Minehead, ready for the darts. I don't know if you can tell the Butland background. It's just a blue wall. But I was
going to say it's a bit plain.
Yeah.
It's not what it's not what we're normally used to with your backdrop. That's for sure. There's no West Brom shirt for a start. But all right, we might as well start with the darts then and this Players' Championship finals. Luke Little, I'm guessing, has got to be heading the betting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the last big one before the Worlds, before Ali Pali. So. One last chance, I guess, for some names to stake a claim for the big trophy. But look, I'll run you through the top 5 in the betting here. Luke Little, you're right, 7-4 favourite. Luke Humphries, 11-2. Gerwyn Price, 8-1, and Jan Van Veen and Josh Rock are 14-1 apiece. And to be honest, I think we've probably named the winner there. Luke Littler is clear favourite. I think the interesting or worrying thing, if you're anyone but Luke Littler, it's just the gap that is developing in the betting now. So he's always going to be favourite, but to be as short as 7-4 to win a tournament now, and Luke Humphries to be as big as 11-2, that gap is pretty unheard of. I think I'd still back Humphries. I think just about 11-2 for a very recent number 1. He's seemingly the only name who can beat Littler over a long distance. He's the player who has won this tournament for the last 2 years. I think he would be my pick at 11-2. They're in different halves of the draw as well. So if they are to meet, it looks like it'll be the final. Looking at the brackets for an outsider, I think James Wade might go deep. He's 33-1 to win it. Could be a good each way shot. He is in the same bracket as Luke Humphries, who he did beat at Minehead earlier this year. So maybe an each way shot, James Wade. But yeah, winner Luke Humphries. I always say that down here. I don't know what it is, but I think at 11-2 as well, Humphries. I'd take that over Littler 7-4.
Okay, all right, that's one to look out for. We've already been talking about the North London derby, so come on then, you've got to tell us how you're seeing the one at the Emirates this weekend.
I mean, it doesn't bode well for Tottenham. Arsenal odds on favourites, it always tends to be the case. They're 2-5. Spurs are 7-1, I think, to win, and the draw is just over 3-1. And I mentioned it doesn't bode well. Arsenal 6 unbeaten against Spurs. They've won 5 of those. It's 15 years, I think, to the day today since Tottenham last won at the Emirates in the league. This one finished 2-1 to Arsenal last season, and we're just over 2-1 for both teams to score on Sunday and Arsenal to win that game. There are 8 points between these two in the league right now. Spurs, I think, are one of 5 teams currently on 18 points. And while it's not been the worst of starts for Thomas Frank, a defeat on Sunday would mean that his Tottenham team are closer to the relegation zone in points than they are to top of the table after 12 games. In terms of a bet builder, I would say Saka scores. I think Pedro Porro, if he starts, will get a card, and Arsenal to score 2 or more goals is a 9-1 bet builder. And then just quickly at the wider picture, Arsenal still favourites to win the Premier League. Their odds on, they're 8-11. As for Tottenham's season, they're now 6-1 to finish in the top 4, which, for context, is the same price that Jake Paul is to beat Anthony Joshua. So make of that what you will.
Okay. And Saturday is pretty busy when it comes to Premier League football, 7 fixtures in all. So are there any games that sort of stand out for you?
I think so. I think, look, Fulham aren't the biggest price in the world to beat Sunderland, but think they win that game. I think the similarities between these two, think that most of their points will both come at home, and Fulham are the home side here. They've not been great on the road, but they look quite solid at home. I wouldn't say it's panic stations yet for Fulham, but if you start dropping points at home to a promoted team, then you could be in a spot of bother come the end of the season. So yeah, they're around evens. Crystal Palace also around evens to beat Wolves. I think they're so there for the taking right now. This weekend, no different, regardless of the new manager. It's like, I mean, you spoke about it a couple of weeks back. They're preparing for the Championship already in some ways, so I just couldn't touch them at the moment, especially against a decent Palace side. And then both teams to score, Newcastle, Man City. Newcastle can't really get going this season. You would probably expect City to go and win, but I'd be hopeful that Newcastle at home give it a go and at least score a goal. So both teams to score there, and Fulham and Crystal Palace both to win. That's a 6-1 treble with Ladbrokes.
Brilliant. Well, listen, enjoy Minehead, enjoy the darts. Thank you very much for being with us, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Alex.
Great to have you with us there. That was Alex Patty then from Ladbrokes. It is 18 and over, gamblerware.org.
Odds update on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gamblerware.org.
OK, so it's a busy show. Lots on the way. Don't forget, in the next hour, Steven Caulker, former Premier League defender, will join us to chat all about himself and how his career is going. But also, no doubt, we'll have a general discussion on many other things too. But we'll keep you updated on how Chelsea fare against Barcelona in the Women's Champions League as we deal with the League One encounter that is taking place today. That sees Peterborough against Stockport. We'll do our best to keep you up to date with that one as well. So it is busy. Up next, we're going to speak to the Arsenal fan and podcaster Rory Cook to look ahead to this weekend and say that again, this weekend's North London derby. This is Kickoff with Ladbrokes, 18 and over, gamblerware.org.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, so a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course. Since then, all tennis balls have been covered in that material and have their trademark colour for that exact reason. Amateur tennis players and dogs worldwide are forever grateful. You could say the ITF aced it.
This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Thank you very much for joining us this Thursday evening. It's the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer. Just to round off the World Cup playoffs then that was made earlier this afternoon, Northern Ireland will travel to Italy. My goodness, that's a tough one in the semi-finals, with the winner facing a potential trip to Wales in the final. Wales have been drawn at home to Bosnia-Herzegovina, and the Republic of Ireland are away to Czechia before a potential final with Denmark or North Macedonia, who, if you remember, did put out Italy previously, so can't rule them out either. So bear in mind all of that. As I mentioned, Northern Ireland, the reward of getting a playoff spot, the toughest of the lot, because Italy were the highest ranked, and that's who they've got.
Yeah,
some sympathy.
It's harsh, trying to go through this way is always cruel. There's always one team that's going to get the short straw and get the top seeded team. It's just the way it goes, and that's why getting that automatic promotion is absolutely key. And yeah, listen, look, Italy are not the same Italy, as of in the past. So I'm sure Northern Ireland will be going into this with confidence and hope that they can overturn this tie, and it's doable. Especially with the heart and grit that they've shown to get here. Yeah, let's just see what happens.
Indeed, and as I say, the reward if they were to get past Italy could be that they'll play Wales, which would then guarantee a home nation through to the World Cup, like we have seen with Scotland qualifying earlier this week. So, as an England fan, Jermaine, are you also rooting for the other home nations, or are you very much, no, it's all about England, that's it?
Listen, it's all about England, but if they was to get through, I wouldn't be, I'd say, well done, guys.
Okay.
I want you to enjoy it. We're spoiled. We get it, every 2 years, Euros.
That's a slight patronising tone there.
No.
I want you to enjoy it.
In the World Cup.
Have your little moment.
It's been a long time since we've not, qualified for a major tournament. So, I want other nations to experience it. It's a good time. It's good watching your team on the TV if you can't go. So I hope they do. I hope they do.
Just getting that World Cup fever.
Yeah, get that fever. Yeah,
absolutely.
A big shout out to the Scots though. They 1999, that 8 since the last major tournament. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic for them.
Absolutely, the Tartan Army are going to be terrific, I'm sure. And what a game it was against Denmark to book their place.
Fantastic.
It was absolutely tremendous. No doubt we'll keep you up to speed with everything that happens in those playoffs. Of course we will. But right now, let's get back onto the North London derby, shall we? And chat to Arsenal fan and podcaster Rory Cook, who'll be with us in just a moment. That he, of course, part of the Rory Talks Ball podcast. Before that, though, the former Arsenal invincible Sol Campbell joined Hawksby and Jacobs earlier today, and this is what he had to say on the injury to Gabriel.
I think Gabriel has really shown his worth, not only just as a leader, but, nicking those goals and being a presence in both boxes. That's what you need, going forward as a top centre half. If you can kind of defend and then also nick a couple of goals at the other end and make the difference and, move that move the kind of needle for you when it comes to performances week in, week out, and become like almost he needs to be one of the first on that list on the team sheet. That's what he's become. That he's carved it out of himself. He's with performances and the way he's kind of conducted himself. It's been incredible. He's done a really, really top job, Arteta, with him. But Gabriel has done a really. They're going to miss him for sure, that presence. But Arsenal they still have enough.
Okay, well, join us then to give us the Arsenal take on the North London derby. It is Arsenal fan and podcaster Rory Cook from Rory talkSPORT. Evening to you, Rory. How are you?
Evening, guys. Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Good, yeah. We've got to obviously talk about Gabriel and how big a loss this is for Arsenal. Do you think you can cope without him?
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate. Obviously, happening in a fairly meaningless friendly is annoying, but we've been here before. We spent a lot of time with him earlier this year, with him missing and Jakub Kiwior coming in, and arguably now we're even better set to deal with it with Hincapié and Mosquera, possibly Calafiori, and yeah, there are options there. So it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world.
A quick one on it. I know you touched on it last year. Kiwior came in. But the game has obviously moved west with now set pieces, throw-ins and corners, and also such a threat from that. Do you think him not being there now, obviously, who's going to step up and how much are you going to miss that? Because he's going to be out for two months.
You're talking about the offensive side.
The offensive side of Gabriel. 2 months potentially be out. Is that going to have a massive impact now?
Yeah, hopefully it won't have a massive impact. It will have an impact. Even when Kiwior came in, and I have a huge amount of respect for what he did, the one thing that we definitely lost was that sort of aerial dominance in both boxes, defensively and offensively. And we do need to figure out a way of sort of replicating that, whether that's Mosquera, who is taller, Hincapié a bit shorter but more tenacious. We need to find the solution. Having Kai Havertz coming back and the height that he offers will be useful. Obviously, Mikel Merino's fairly sizable, so is Victor Gyökeres. So, yeah, I'm sure we can figure out a way of getting another big man on the end of the deliveries. But no, for sure, it is going to be tricky.
Is there any sort of concern about how injuries might be building a little bit at the club as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best part of a year at this point where we've sort of consistently had 4, 5, 6 players out, significant players out, and that does become a problem. Some of them are unfortunate. You look at sort of knee injuries to Ødegaard and Madueke, you can't do much about, but the soft tissue injuries that we're picking up, you do wonder if there's something that can be done to prevent them. I think the football calendar is brutal these days. We do have a big squad. I just hope that once we've kind of got this cavalry that are coming back, we're able to then start rotating, especially through winter where you're playing twice a week, and we can kind of put this this ongoing saga to bed a little bit. But I don't want injuries to kind of become the story of the game, because I think Tottenham have got their own injuries too.
Well, on the back of this injury, you've got 5 tough games coming up, thick and fast. But the first one, the most important one, is probably the North London derby. Yes. How are you going into this now? How are you feeling? Are you feeling very confident, or is it because it's a derby, you can never be too confident in this game?
Yeah, like North London derby, I'm just excited. I'm always excited for a North London derby. It's I worry that the game itself might not actually be the most exciting. I think, the way that we've set up and the way that Thomas Frank's set up in big games this season, it's got the feeling of a game that might not be the easiest on the eye, but it's always exciting. And again, with all of the injuries and stuff, putting that aside, I think it's the sort of game where it's all about the big personalities. Who's going to step up from either side? And I feel like we've got the players that will step up on those occasions. Your Declan Rice, your Bukayo Saka. So, no, I'm very excited, and I think we can make a big statement with a good win.
Sorry, is there anything out there though that's worrying you from Spurs? Is there anything that you looking at, think, oh, that could be a little problem, or is there nothing there that's really putting any doubts in your mind?
Not really. I mean, I love Mohamed Kudus as a player. He was a player I wanted at Arsenal, so it would be painful if he was to score. But they've not been a really sort of threatening attacking side. The only thing I really worry about is a 0-0 draw. I think they could set up really defensively, and with the the attacking injuries that we've got without Gabriel stepping up with a big header, maybe we don't score and it's a 0-0. But no, overall, I'd be very surprised if we came away with a loss, certainly.
Obviously, this is a 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. By the time you kick off, Manchester City could just be a point behind you going into this one. So are you now worrying about City and the fact that you're having to look over your shoulder?
Yeah, it's Man City. I think, you look at, the form that Erling Haaland's in, it's Pep Guardiola. They have as well sort of clicked recently defensively, which is something I thought they would struggle with this season. They seem to have figured that out. So, yeah, you're always looking over your shoulder. We've been here before. If they can go away to Newcastle on the Saturday night, win, I think that would be a big statement from them, much as it was when we went away to Newcastle the other week and won. So, and at that point, the pressure is on, at a point ahead. So, yeah, it's going to be like this. It's going to be like this for a long time. And all we can do is just keep putting our foot down, picking up 3 points and trying to stay ahead.
Yeah. Rory, talkSPORT understands that Saka is going to, well, not going to, but in progression of signing a new long-term contract. How big of a boost is that for you guys?
Yeah, it's huge. I think credit to him. Andrea Berta's done an unbelievable job since he came in, not just with the number of signings that he made, but with tying so many players down to new contracts. And, you look at the real spine of the team, it's all set to be here until sort of 2029 onwards. And it sounds like, much with William Saliba, previously they'd signed shorter contracts. I think Saka's last contract, was only 3 years, whereas it sounds like this one might take him to 2030. So not only are we tying them down, but we're tying them down for even longer. They're all committing the primes of their careers to Arsenal. I think that's a testament to where we've got ourselves back to, the job that Arteta's done. And it's nice to just have kind of everything feel like it's lined up in a row, unlike previous years gone by where, we'd lose our best player every year if we weren't careful.
You spent a lot of money in the summer by Arsenal standards. That's not far until the January transfer window comes. Do you think that there might be any further spend in that January window? I know someone like Antoine Semenyo has been talked about now as a
Natalie, behave yourself now.
No,
hands off.
This is the Liverpool fan. Well, this is where I was going to come to, because he is an Arsenal fan. He's spoken about being an Arsenal fan. We know Eze was an Arsenal fan as well, hence I think why he wanted to go to Arsenal, and it worked out for him. So is he a player that you would welcome, obviously, at the Emirates?
He would be more than welcome at the Emirates. It's an interesting one. I don't think we will spend much, if anything, in January. Like you said, we had a huge summer. They've spoken about the fact that we kind of went right to the limits of our means, even in terms of that Hincapié deal right at the end. Berta had to move things around to get that done with Kivior and the deal that was done. So I think it will be difficult, but Semenyo is the one. If that 65 million pound release clause is true, that you look at and you go, well, if we don't do it, not only are we not getting that player, but Liverpool probably will. A direct rival get him, and it's also probably the one position that I think you still look at. We could make that big left wing upgrade, perhaps move a Martinelli, a Jesus, even a Trossard on, and maybe Berta finds another bit of magic to pull that off. But yeah, outside of that, outside of one of those sort of market opportunities, I'm not expecting much.
So you're expecting no business in this in the January transfer window at all, or would you would you like to see a position maybe filled or a signing come in?
Yeah, the only real weakness I think we've got, the only sort of concern I have is Declan Rice's position, and also the sort of player that he is in terms of the ground he covers, the athleticism. I don't feel like if Declan Rice was to get any sort of significant injury, we've got a like-for-like replacement to come in for him. So, how you replicate, a £100 million player, I'm not sure. Maybe someone younger with the potential. But yeah, I struggle to see us doing it. We have spent a lot of money and we've not made huge money back from sales so far. So yeah, I think it's unlikely, but injuries could factor into it as well. The injuries that we've currently got, if they end up getting compounded with more, then maybe we're forced to do something.
Yeah. Well, listen, Rory, it's been great to chat to you. Thank you for sparing the time. And yeah, good luck. Enjoy the North London derby. Hopefully it's more exciting than you suggested it might be.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I tell you what, we'll talk about Antoine Semenyo, I'm sure, a bit later on, because it has been revealed that he does have a £65 million release clause in his contract. I know Bournemouth won't want to sell him, and Bournemouth would do everything that they can to keep hold of him. But of course, someone triggers that clause, it becomes a very different story, and there will be a hunt for him, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You'd imagine.
Well,
And
100%.
And I think what Rory's saying there is if Arsenal don't come in for him, why do you want to strengthen your rivals? So they have to consider it seriously if they want to bring someone like him in.
Yeah, but I think they've got too many options on the flanks.
Well, yeah.
You know, they've got Trossard who could play on the left.
Yeah.
They've got Martinelli when he's fit, could play on the left. On the right, you've got Saka and you've got Madueke.
Yeah.
So you throw in another one. There's going to be very limited game time for people. You really want to upset the apple cart.
I suppose that's the risk for Semenyo as well to take. It's who he sees as the better project for him. This is in the wider world of all the clubs coming in for him.
But if you're looking at this, you'd probably say Liverpool. Because
Sorry.
this is no bias. There's no bias, as in that they've got Gakpo on the left, who I would say Semenyo is probably a better player than Gakpo, or he definitely would give you better performances and contribute more. So, that's a position where you go, oh yeah, I could claim that, that spot on the left. Semenyo, are you listening to talkSPORT?
Agent
Semenyo?
Pennant right now.
Yeah.
Just checking. I'm sure, as I say, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. But next up, we'll be turning our attention to Jermaine's team, Liverpool, and discuss whether they do actually need to spend more money in January, despite forking out nearly £500 million in the summer. If you want to have your say on all things Liverpool, why not pick up the phone, have a chat with us, 03717 2233 44. You're tuning into Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT with the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant and me, Natalie Sawyer. And still to come, we're going to be joined in the studio by the former Premier League defender Steven Caulker, and he'll be discussing his time playing abroad as well as his experiences even managing overseas. But we're going to right now turn our attention to one of Steven's former sides, Liverpool, who host Nottingham Forest on Saturday afternoon. The former Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher has been speaking today and has said that Liverpool must go and strengthen in January as Arne Slot's side look to save an already stuttering season. Speaking on Sky Sports earlier today, this is what Carragher had to say. Liverpool are probably one injury away at centre-back from derailing the season, so they have to go to the market in January. He also said that the players they have brought in have just been replacements for those that have left in the summer. So that got us thinking. Despite spending nearly £450 million in the summer, do the Reds still need reinforcements? Well, the former Premier League striker Darren Bent, back on Drive this afternoon, discussed those comments.
We lost a lot of players last summer. So Luis Diaz, of course, he went playing really well for my big money for him. Darwin Nunez, Kwanzaa's gone. God rest his soul, Diogo Jota, Kelleher, the goalkeeper, Trent. So there's big players now that are no longer at Liverpool, right?
But they've brought in
again Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike, Kirkes, Frimpong, Giovanni Leone. So Maradashvili, but I know he was on loan and now he's come back to play. I just think they spent the money in the wrong areas. Simple as that. I think they need.
I think everyone knows that.
So I think they tried to address it.
Okay, so that's what Darren Bent had to say. What do you think, Jermaine?
I wouldn't say that they bought in the wrong areas because they needed to. They lost two strikers, as in, like Bentley said, restless. So always Diogo Jota and Darwin Nunez. So you have to replace a number 9 there. Mm-hmm. So they went out and done that. They lost Luis Diaz, so they've had to strengthen in that area as well. With you can put Ekitike out there, you can play Florian Wirtz out there, and obviously losing Trent, we've had to get a replacement. In Frimpong, and Andy Robinson's not getting any younger, so we've had to strengthen there. So we haven't got in the wrong areas. We was hoping that Mark Gay was going to be over the line. It was all there to be done, which would have been, a fantastic transfer window. But then that got pulled last minute. So they have bought in the right areas, apart from the Gay, which, got let down last minute.
Well, yeah, I mean, the centre-back perhaps issue is the most priority, it feels, because as much as at times, especially last season, Van Dijk and Konate were excellent, but it does feel this season it's been a little bit rockier. And that might be in part due to the fact that they're all, as a back line, having to get used to each other, with Conor Bradley at right back and now Milos Kerkez at times. That means there may be an element of Van Dijk babysitting and Konate babysitting players that haven't been playing as often, certainly not for Liverpool as well.
Yeah, it always happens. If you've got a new back four or new defender or new players come in, they have to learn the way. So, like I said, when you've got your right back and your left back, you have to coach them how we play, when to push up, when to drop back, when to tuck in. Know my game. If you see me do this when you cover for me. So they're all learning on the go. It's they haven't been together long. It's not even 6 months, so they're still learning on the go. But what Jamie Carragher was saying is that I think they will need to. They wanted to go and get Mark Gay. There's a reason why they went to get him, and now that Giovanni Leone is probably out for the season with a terrible injury, I'm guaranteed. Well, I'm 100% sure that in January, rather than wait until end of the season, we get him on a free. I think they would go back in for him in January because they was going to spend that money regardless.
Yeah.
If the deal didn't get pulled,
hadn't been pulled, yeah,
he would be a Liverpool player anyway.
Yeah.
So that money's there.
Okay, he's told everyone now he's definitely leaving in the summer. So Palace, in a sense, should try and get some money out of that move.
Exactly.
Perhaps, although Palace fans won't want us talking about that.
Well, he's still got 2 months, and he still gave you an extra 4 or 5 months in a Palace shirt to get them where they are. So for me, I think they should really think about, I don't think they will sit back and watch him go to the end of the season and go for a free. Steve Parish, I think, will go, all right, Glasner, we gave you your first part of the season. Now we're cashing in.
I hear you. It would be a bit silly, really, in that sense. But look, let's speak to Scott, a Liverpool fan who's rung up this evening. How are you doing, Scott?
Oh, good, thanks. Yourself?
Very well, yes. Good. Well, really well. And thank you for calling up. What have you got to say then?
So, be honest,
Jermaine's just stole a lot of my thunder. I think.
Oh, go again, Scott. Don't worry, we didn't hear it. No one heard it.
But no, I definitely think they do need to strengthen in January in that centre-back position because, one, like you mentioned, the Leone injury is kind of thrown a bit of a spanner in the works because up until when he got his injury, granted, it was only one game, he did look like a tidy player. But also, like you said, we've only replaced what we've lost in the summer. And I think it's a bit of a lazy narrative from a lot of the pundits, etc., that, Liverpool spent X 100 million, because on the whole, they brought in almost 300 million. They've effectively just replaced what they've lost with Frimpong for Trent, Wirtz could say for Diaz, Nunes, and like I say, God rest his soul, Jota was replaced by Isaac and Ekatike, etc. And then like Robbo's getting a bit older, so Kirkes can come in there. But yeah, I definitely think to compete with the likes of Arsenal and City, who over the last 12 to 18 months have comfortably outspent us, and they've made additions rather than where we've just replaced effectively. So yeah, no, I definitely would like to see Gay come in, or at least another top-level centre-back, because I think part of the uncertainty on who's been in our back four this season has also exposed a lot of what was kind of covered over last year. And Canate I just don't rate him as a first choice. And yeah, it kind of papered over the cracks of his levels last year where we were flying. But yeah, I definitely would love to see someone come in January.
Well, it could. I mean, you'd feel like they should definitely go for Gavey, like you say. Scott, thank you for your call, Scott. Thank you.
Scott. Yes, for me, it's a no-brainer. I said, with the injury of the young kid Leone, he looked like when he started, he looked like a really good player and could settle in alongside Virgil. I think the runs have been, pulled from the state. Right, we've got to do this deal. We've got to get this because, like Carragher said again, we are one injury away from our centre backs. If Virgil or Canate get injured, who can go there? Yes, we've got Joe Gomez, but can he stay fit? He's not up to speed. So if you want to compete and you want to stay solid, you have to get a reliable centre-back. And with Mark Gay, we know that he is one.
Okay, what is it? Just over a month until that window opens. We will see if they can get that business done. Okay, up next, we're going to be joined by the former Premier League defender Steven Caulker. He'll be discussing his time playing abroad as well as his experiences in managing overseas. You're listening to Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Wales have been drawn to face Bosnia and Herzegovina in their first match of the World Cup playoffs. But as European football expert Kevin Hatchard explains, things may get a little awkward if Northern Ireland beat Italy.
You have a situation where if Wales were to come through against Bosnia and Northern Ireland were to come through against Italy, they would play each other for a place at the World Cup.
Meanwhile, the Republic of Ireland will face Czechia, then one of Denmark or North Macedonia. Elsewhere, we know Scotland have already qualified, but would they want Harvey Barnes? There's talk the Newcastle forward may switch allegiances, having only played one friendly game for England 5 years ago. He qualifies for Scotland through his grandparents, and talkSPORT's Gabby Agbonlahor reckons he should go for it.
He's got to look at, is this his last chance to maybe go to a World Cup? And look at the pecking order. We've got Gordon, Rashford, you've got Eze. There's not really that position available at the moment for him to break in. He's not been in outstanding form.
There are reports Crystal Palace have held conversations with Jean-Philippe Mateta over a new contract. Get more on that at talksport.com. And on the eve of the Ashes, a former Aussie batter has admitted to talkSPORT that baseball is actually popular down under.
There's no doubt it's brought a difference to or point a difference to Test cricket, and there's a time and place for it. However, it's going to be a challenge to try and do it here, particularly at Optus Stadium and maybe the Gabba with a pink ball.
With the first Ashes test just hours away, Aussie captain Steve Smith decided to have a go at Monty Panesar's appearance on Mastermind.
Anyone that believes that Athens is in Germany, that's a start. Oliver Twist is a season of the year, and America is a city. Doesn't really bother me, those comments. So
it's after Monty said the Barmy Army should get on Smith's back about his role in the Sandpapergate ball tampering scandal. Meanwhile, Australia confirmed 2 debutants for Perth tomorrow, opening bat Jake Weatherald and seam bowler Brendan Doggett. Ben Stokes calls this the defining moment of his England captaincy, and he knows how many fans are heading out.
When we got your time off and we try and get out and about, there's a lot of English people here, so yeah, really looking forward to what kind of reception we're going to get tomorrow.
There's loads of content and build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Play starts around 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Remember, talk.
This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT with me, Natalie Sawyer, and alongside me tonight it is the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant. Still to come, we'll be looking ahead to the first test of the Ashes, which gets underway in the early hours of the morning. Can England claim a first Ashes victory in Australia since 2011? And we'll also continue to build up to the return of the Premier League after the last international break of 2025. Hurrah! With live football coming your way on the talkSPORT network. But first, delighted to say, joining us in the studio for the next hour, it is former Premier League defender Steven Caulker. How are you, Steven?
Hi, Natalie. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, we're really well. Apart from the fact, I mean, obviously I've got beef with you now after our discussion.
broke Natalie's arm in seconds.
You were a Brentford fan when you were young, before you hit the heights as a defender and footballing, with your career. And now you're no longer a Brentford fan. That has upset me a lot. That.
Still got a soft spot for Brentford.
Okay.
I've still got a soft spot.
Yeah, because you had a season ticket and everything.
I know. I used to love Brentford when they were in League 2, League 1, as I mentioned before. Lloyd Owusu, used to love watching him play. Raise the Roof. It was good days, but Spurs gave me my opportunity. So
and you're a Spurs fan now.
My loyalty lies with them. Absolutely.
You looking forward to the weekend?
Yeah, I am actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a tough game, obviously, but quietly confident.
Good. Look, we'll talk about that one a bit later on, no doubt, because it'd be great to get your thoughts on Thomas Frank as well, and how you're looking at that Brentford connection and everything.
Yeah.
Nice, that. But let's talk about you, shall we? Because we were just learning. We all thought you were still playing in Iceland, but that's not happened. And what's happened with Iceland? Tell us.
Yeah. So I mean, my CV is just crazy. I've got so many different clubs on there, so many different cities, countries, everything. Spent the last 5 months in Iceland as a player assistant. Absolutely loved it. Great experience. We finished top 3, which was our goal as a club to be in the Conference League next year. So I leave there, proud of what we achieved, but it was slightly unexpected. I was in my head thinking I'm going to be there for another year, but football is like that, right? People have they make decisions. People have different opinions, of course, and that's what makes the game what we love, right? Is the fact that everyone has a different opinion. But it's difficult. I have to go there and get my stuff now, come back, and then we'll see what's next.
Yeah, what is next now? Do you want to go into coaching? Is that something you're gonna try and get back here?
Absolutely, that's something. Yeah, my passion lies with coaching. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've had a decent career as a player, lots of ups and downs, I mentioned, but I just love coaching. I think my experiences as a person, not just as a player, will hold me in a good position to manage people and understand people. So that's where my passion lies, and now it's about earning the right to become a coach. There's no given right that because I've had a playing career that I should be given a job.
Yeah. But you've mentioned, you look at we've got your list of clubs.
You have.
I'm not going to list them all because we might be here a little while.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've played abroad, like you've mentioned, you've been in Turkey, you've been in Spain, and now most recently in Iceland as well. But you started domestically with Tottenham, like you said, and then you've had a few loan moves, and then Cardiff QPR, went to Scotland too, we should mention. But this move abroad, now obviously that's partly down to circumstance, which clubs were available, which clubs wanted you, but how hard was it to move abroad and leave the sort of comforts of home?
The first time I went, it was actually really easy because I'd been rejected by every club in the UK. I went through a really difficult period where I was suffering a lot with my mental health. I spoke publicly about it, which probably at the time wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. I think I got the timing a little bit wrong there, and clubs were then really unsure whether they could trust me or not. And I can understand that. Listen, I don't carry any resentment or any blame, like be blaming people, this, that and the other. Like, I take responsibility. It was my behaviour. Of course, I did have deeper issues going on. It wasn't necessarily what I'd call a choice, but regardless, I was behaving inappropriately and certainly not professionally. So I didn't get any opportunities in the UK, and my opportunity came 6 months later in Turkey. And so it was actually quite an easy, refreshing change, to get away. And like where it was in Turkey was Alanya, which is right on the coastline. It was beautiful. This time of year, it's still 20, 25 degrees. So it actually was a welcome change.
Yeah, well, talk about something positive is that you made your debut for England. You scored on your debut for England. Not many players can say that. Not many players can say they played for the senior team.
Yeah.
From that game, what stands out to you? What do you remember about that experience?
I remember it was the Zlatan show. The overhead kick from 30 yards. That's what I remember. But no, I just remember just being almost like overwhelmed. Like, it's crazy. I was playing for my country. I dreamed of it. Didn't ever think it would happen as young as what I did. I was only 20 at the time. So that weekend, I scored against Man City at the Etihad. And then on the Wednesday night, we're playing Sweden. I'm playing against Zlatan, starting, scored a goal. Like, it was just
the best week ever.
Just the best week. And it was actually ahead of the North London derby. The North London derby was that weekend coming. So I actually got injured in the England game. So I missed the derby. But, what a week. Like, just even saying out loud, it's crazy. City away, making my England debut, and then, North London derby.
Yeah. Look, we'll talk more about England a little bit later on, and it'd be interesting to get both of your thoughts actually on the whole Jude Bellingham situation. But just centering on you again in terms of your career and how it was all panned out. You mentioned obviously at the time when you moved to Turkey, you'd found your options over here limited, if as you say, non-existent, and that might be down to the reputation that unfortunately had been built. What about in recent times? As I say, you've moved around Turkey, you've been to Spain, you've been to Iceland. Is that in part because you found it very difficult to get back to England, or it's just that you didn't need to or want to? You were happy to move elsewhere?
Yeah, good question. I mean, the door actually opened in England about 4 years later. Blackburn put an offer on the table for me to return from Turkey. That came very close to happening. Fell through at the last minute. 6 months after that, I then signed for Wigan with Kolo Touré. So the doors, I do believe, are now open in England. But it was more of a choice, actually, to then go back abroad to Spain, back abroad to Iceland, because I just feel, especially because I've been thinking about being a coach for the last 2-3 years, and that's my goal, that's my aim, that's my focus. So I've been wanting to pick up different cultures and work in different environments and also different languages. So learn a bit of Spanish, now fluent in Turkish, can speak a tiny bit of Icelandic as well.
I was about to ask about
the pronunciation is so difficult in Icelandic, so I can understand more than I could speak. Don't put me on the spot now with Icelandic. But
you could say whatever, we'd go, that's right. We wouldn't have a clue.
It's true, yeah. So, I just want to get as much experience as possible, and I think that will hold me in good stead as a coach. So going abroad is definitely an option for me.
So does that mean playing, you've decided that's it?
Yeah, 95%. Yeah, that's it. So I just think that if I, have to take another role as player coach, then I would. But if I got offered the role just as a coach, then I would take that, But obviously the difficulty is I don't have that much experience. So I had my 6 months in Iceland. I have little spells in Spain, little spells with my national team in Sierra Leone as well. I was working as an assistant / captain. So I've had experience, but not enough to put down on paper for clubs to go, right, come in and take the head coach's job at a championship level, for example.
Yeah. And now you're back, is it time? Is it about now just settling in back home, getting used to things, and then looking to see which teams are available or are interested in maybe you taking up that coaching role?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm always on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they should.
Powerful tool.
It's a powerful tool, but I don't want to mention them until they start, paying me commission or something. Because I'm always giving them a shout out. They haven't even given me the blue tick yet. But but LinkedIn. It is super powerful. So I write a lot of my stuff on there, share a lot of my experiences, write a lot about what I'm up to and where I want to get to. And honestly, the amount of doors that open are crazy. I put on there a couple of days ago that I'd left Stianen in Iceland, and like within 24 hours, I'd had 4 different offers and conversations. So I see more and more players joining up. Are you on there?
No, I'm not. No, but I don't want to coach. That's it.
You're already happy where you are.
I'm settled. I'm settled.
Right.
I don't think coaching's for me. I struggled as a player, and coaching takes more of your time. So,
but when you say coaching, are you talking first team, or are you happy to be at academy level? What are we talking?
Well, whatever it takes. I have in my mind a 10-year vision to be back in the Premier League. That's my goal. How I get there, I'm really open-minded, to be fair. If that's via an academy, if that's via Iceland, if that's via Thailand, I'm open to it. And I think that's probably the best way to be, because as a player, I was so set on, I need to go here. Then if I get to there, I'll get to that next stage and then the next one. Jermaine, I'm sure you've experienced similar. It never worked out like that.
Yeah, it never works the path you vision. There's always turns left and right, and your destination will be the same, but you may have to take different routes to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely been my experience. I couldn't have imagined playing for Sierra Leone, at the start of my career, but somehow I was there, and as a result of that, went to an international tournament. So got to achieve something via the most random of routes, but what an experience, And again, it's something that I definitely look back on with pride. And there's no regrets for any of the opportunities I've taken abroad.
Well, look, we're going to carry on talking about yourself a little bit later on. We will talk about more generic stuff, just because I know you said before we came on air, you don't want it all to be about you, but that's why you're here, first of all, to talk about you. And you mentioned about your sort of mental health problems, and we'll chat about that if you don't mind after the break. But you are tuning in to Kick Off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. Good evening. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Thank you very much for tuning in to us this Thursday evening. It is the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant who's alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and delighted to say for this hour we also have the former Premier League defender Steven Caulker with us. Before we continue our chat with Steven, we've got a goal to bring you in the Women's Champions League with Chelsea hosting Barcelona. Ian Abrahams is there.
Chelsea 1, Barcelona 0. Ellie Carpenter striding forward down the right-hand side, took a couple of steps into the penalty area and unleashed an absolute rocket past Catacol in the Barcelona goal. It followed Germer at the other end, making a brilliant block to deny Barcelona from scoring. But Chelsea ahead through Ellie Carpenter. It's Chelsea 1, Barcelona 0.
Ian, thank you very much. And there was an early goal, by the way, in the League One encounter that's taking place this evening. Peterborough are ahead against Stockport. Benjamin Woods in the 5th minute, giving Peterborough that lead. We'll continue to update you on all of those. As he said, though, we're going to continue our chat with Steven Caulker, who is with us. And you mentioned previously about your sort of mental health problems that you had, especially when you were over here. If you don't mind us talking a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah.
Because it does feel as though it's now become quite commonplace for us to talk about it. And it seems to help a lot of people now that we are talking about it. It's no longer a stigma attached to it. But if you're able to just explain what issues you had, just for our listeners to understand what you went through.
Yeah, so I suffered a lot with gambling addiction. That was my primary addiction. So started from when I was 15 and didn't stop properly until I was 26, 27, and obviously lost a lot of money. But it's not just the money that went. Of course, it was the relationships, because I became very dishonest when I was gambling. I would do pretty much anything I could to get my hands on money, and I lost obviously a lot of relationships, a lot of trust, as I mentioned, and also lost a lot of opportunities in my career. You know, I threw away so many good opportunities I had as a football player, and you know, I have regrets. I can't sit here and say I don't. I sometimes say, oh well, you know, it shaped who I am today, and it did. It absolutely did. But of course, I have regrets, because those opportunities to be a footballer are very slim. They come around once in a lifetime, right? I don't get to be a footballer again at 45. So it's of course there is a sense of loss there. However, like I said, I do use it today to shape me and to be the best version I can be. You know, whether that's as a radio pundit right now, whether that's as a football coach or a football player, and also as a family man, as a father.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, obviously I've been there as well myself, so I know, you know, what you probably would have been going through. But at what point in your life, what was a turning point where you thought, you know what, my life is now under control?
I'm not even sure that point has come, if I'm really honest with you. Like, I have good days and bad days. That's what I'd say. I'd say that the more well I get, the longer periods of good days I have. But I'm still always just one moment away from you know, having a crash, having those moments where, you know, I suffer with depression alongside the addiction. You know, that the gambling was my escape. It wasn't the root cause. You know, the root cause, you know, lies a lot deeper than that. And of course, you know, I had to go and take antidepressants, and that was something I never thought I would ever have to do. I didn't believe that it was an illness. I believed it was something that I could control, and it wasn't, as I said, until 26, 27, where I started to accept it. So that would be the point I could say to you. Is my turning point was when I started to accept that I needed help, and that came around 26, 27.
I think I think that is probably one of the biggest, well, the hardest thing to do is to accept that there is something wrong, and you can see this pattern, rather than think everything's all right and being a bit in denial. That's when things spiral out of control, and that's how it kind of did with me, and a lot of mistakes were made, and like I said, you start to fall into a dark place and depression, and that moment you admit and go, right, this is not right, this is wrong, and you start to take accountability. That's when you can start mending and fixing things.
Absolutely. I think accountability, the word you've just used there, that's been the biggest change for me, like taking accountability. So even when I was talking earlier about my experiences in football, could football have dealt with it better? Maybe, you know, maybe at moments, for sure. But ultimately, I'm accountable. I'm accountable for my decisions. I'm accountable for my actions. And that's been a big shift, because if you asked me that at 24, I would still be playing the blame game.
Yeah.
He could have done this and she could have done that. But said ultimately
it's everyone else's fault apart from your own.
Exactly. So you've mentioned a couple of words like denial, accountability, and for me the other word is acceptance. So those are the three things that started a change and continue. As I said, I live a far better life today.
Yeah, if there's some players out there listening and silently struggling, what would your message be to them? Because you've been there and you've come out the other side and you look really healthy, you look happy, and now you know looking to have a successful career. What would your message be to them?
Well, firstly, I'd say that I know there are a lot of players out there suffering. Yeah. I'd start with that because a lot of them are still reaching out to me, which is good in one way because it means that they have somewhere to go to. But of course, you know, we can't handle. You know, there has to be more. I believe more people in place within the clubs to help the people. But I would say that for the players who are struggling, is speak to someone that they trust, not just go and speak to anybody. So I kind of made that mistake going to the newspaper at 24 and just let me just shout it all out kind of thing, get it all off my chest. Actually finding the right person to talk to would have been a better move and would have been a smarter move. So I definitely think that's important for people who, you know, young players that are listening, is like find someone you trust, whether that be a family member, whether that be a close friend, whether that be sporting chance. You've got the PFA as well involved. So there are so many different avenues that players can go down. And then for me, I'd say that you know, the biggest thing is to have that self-reflection, because as soon as you come away from the blame game and looking at other people, it's like, that's where you really see it. And often that, I mean, you might relate to this, it's the 3 o'clock in the morning one, right? That's where my guilt, shame and everything actually kicks in, because you know, during the day I can hide it all, especially around the changing room and so on, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm lying there, that's when I really know I'm in trouble. And I think, you know, I think other people could feel that too. So the support is there and it's continuously improving.
Do you think football then is in a better place to help footballers now?
Yeah, I would say it's getting better. It's not quite there yet. It's certainly getting better. I think the more education around it, the more conversations we have, the more and better prepared coaches will be to have these conversations. Because I remember going to a manager during my time in the Premier League and saying to him that I'm struggling, because I was advised to do so by the doctor. And it was one of the worst things I did, because he looked at me and was like, yeah, you just need to be out there on the pitch. That's what you need. And that he gave me that answer because that's what worked for him. That was, to the best of his knowledge, what he thought would work for me. It didn't work for me. It made me feel even more alone and even less understood. And I think there should be some form of education around it. I know, you know, with the English FA, certainly they're adding this to the coaching licenses. They're adding more of this kind of, you know, they're adding workshops to it. They're adding more education around it. But of course, there can always be more to be done. And I'm not going to sit here and criticise it, because I'm just glad that at least people are attempting to do it, you know, and I think the good intentions are going a long way.
I mean, I know, and I can only speak for my club, but I'm sure other clubs do the same, but Brentford has a psychologist who is at the training ground, not every day necessarily, but is there a lot of the time, and they have a special bench where you can go and sit at the bench and they can have nice long chats. And it's not one of those benches where, oh, someone's gone over to the bench. It's just a normal, like, let's just check in with you. Let's have a little chat. You know, that sort of idea, which is maybe the only way you can get people talking, by making it quite normal. Just have a chat.
Yeah, I would say so. So, you know, an idea around that bench would be that you bring people, you know, who maybe aren't struggling. You bring everybody, is my point. Because if you just bring in those that, okay, you know, Steven's a little bit loose or Jermaine's a little bit, you know, you're flagging it up. Like, I actually want to ask you this question, Jermaine, to go really quite deep here, I guess, especially on air. But would you have told your manager or a psychologist in the club that you're struggling, or would have gone externally?
I don't think I would have told the manager indoors. I think I would have felt embarrassed, or I would have felt it would have impacted me getting selected. He would have. My thought process would have probably been, well, he's not mentally stable. Do I really want to put him on the pitch? But that's what I needed. I needed to play, so I was scared, because that was my release when I was on that pitch. Yeah. Any worries I had in my head was just vanished, and I loved it. But then if I was scared to tell a manager, him turn around into his coaching staff and think, oh, let's leave Pennant out this week because, you know, he's a bit off. He's not feeling great mentally. He's not with us. So I was scared to speak out because of the backlash.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that, because managers have a hard choice, right? They have a really hard choice.
They've got a team, haven't they?
Yeah. It's not just about Jermaine, it's not just about Steven. They've got 25 players there. Plus, they've got to manage their staff. Plus, they've got the pressures from the board above. Plus, they've got fan pressure. And they have to make decisions. And by going in there and saying, oh, Gaffer, I'm really struggling with this, it puts that seed of doubt in his mind. And before you know it, the other centre-half's playing, their wingers playing. And I do believe, as I said, football is moving away from that. But there's still a long way to go, right? And that's why I asked that question, because I felt scared when I got told by the doctor, go and say that to the coach. I felt scared, because it's you're vulnerable, right? And I think as a man, I certainly didn't used to like feeling vulnerable. Today it's different, but I've had to do a lot of work, 6-7 years worth of work to be able to be so vulnerable and so open.
Well, look, we've got to take a break, but we do appreciate you opening up and talking to us about that. And if you want, Jermaine, we can always carry on talking about it after the break. But as I say, we do appreciate you talking about it so honestly and frankly with us. We will also talk about, it'd be really interesting to get both of your thoughts on England, although I know Sierra Leone is close to your heart, as you've told us. Yeah. But maybe even more so important to know where you both stand on the Jude Bellingham situation. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, begambleaware.org. Good evening and welcome along to Kickoff on talkSPORT. You're in the company of former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant, former Premier League defender Steven Caulker, and also me, Natalie Sawyer. And we're with you until the Sports Bar at 10. Before we continue getting the thoughts from Steven and Jermaine on footballing matters, which is we're turning our attention to right now, let's just quickly check in with the Women's Champions League with Chelsea taking on Barcelona. Ian Abrahams.
Chelsea won, Barcelona won. Chelsea's lead lasted 8 minutes. Ellie Carpenter scored on the 16. 8 minutes later, a corner on the far side, not properly cleared, and in the scramble inside the penalty area, Eva Payot smashed home with her left foot. She'd already had a goal disallowed for offside. She was offside on that occasion, but not for the equaliser. Chelsea won, Barcelona won.
Ian, thank you very much. And Peterborough, who are in the relegation zone of League One, still hold second place Stockport. I say hold, they still lead them by 1-0 just after the half-hour mark in the only League One game of the night. OK, let's get back on to domestic matters, shall we? And talk about England, because we haven't really had your thoughts on the whole England situation as well, Jermaine. In particular, let's talk about Jude Bellingham and whether or not he should be in the England World Cup squad. Before we hear what you have to say, let's hear from the former England midfielder Tom Huddleston, who joined the breakfast show this morning and said that Bellingham's media attention is comparable to what happened with Gazza and Beckham.
Vendetta is a strong word, but I think the best players in the squad normally get that with England. Our era growing up, obviously, Gazza got a lot of media attention. Beckham got slaughtered after the 98 World Cup and then managed to turn things around. I think a lot of it is probably boredom. England have qualified without any blips in the road. It's a long way to the World Cup. So I think Jude's at the biggest club in the world in my eyes. So I think him being left out a couple of squads is an easy one for the media to pick up on, but I'd be very surprised if England were to win the World Cup without Jude Bellingham in the starting 11.
So that's Tom Huddleston, who's now the Birmingham assistant coach, first-team assistant coach, where breakfast, in fact, came this morning from the training ground. Your former teammate as well, Tom Huddleston. Yeah. So Jude Bellingham, is he on the plane? Should he be on the plane? What do you both think?
Personally, I can't even believe having the conversation. Should or is he or will he or what? And it infuriates me that people are targeting him just because he's showing a bit of character. He's got a bit of personality. Whether you like him or not, he performs when he puts on an England shirt. In the Euros, he almost single-handedly took us to the semi-finals and the finals by scoring the late goals. He's the player that sometimes you need on the pitch who can make something happen. He got man of the match in the last game. It's just our media. This is what we do. We don't like people who have got a bit about them. You know, anyone who's got character and like to express themselves. And yeah, they might not be happy if they get substitution. No one does. No player really does. And he's the player. He's earned the right to be how he is. He's earned that right. He's playing for the biggest club in the world. He's won Champions League. He's won league. It's just, you know, it's what our media does. They target certain individuals who isn't the typical mould. Isn't the typical perfect player, perfect professionalism. But he is a good professionalism, but they're not their narrative as you should be square. You know, for example, like Harry Kane, he makes no noise, he just gets along with it. But not everyone's like that. Certain people are brought up different, have a character, have different personalities, and it comes out on the pitch at times. So what? Just let the boy be, let the boy play, let the boy enjoy his football. That's my view on it.
Mine's very similar. I think football would be boring without characters, without mavericks, as we were speaking about during the break. I think that, you know, looking at the likes of Jude Bellingham, there is no conversation whether he should or should not be on the plane. There is no conversation. For me, is you know, the spine of England. You know, very much the spine of England, and he's certainly the future of England. You know, he's so young and plays with such maturity. Of course, there's moments where he might have a little bit of outburst, but I personally love his swagger. I think football actually in recent times is not as exciting as what it once was. So I very much welcome the likes of Jude coming back into it with a personality, with a swagger, as I mentioned, and I think he's exactly what England need to go on and win the World Cup.
Yeah, sorry, no, but we're not talking about he's in the press outside of football and his personal life, doing the wrong things, coming in late at night, seeing out, intoxicated, whatever bad headlines. It's the stuff on the football pitch. His personality and his character showing out. I'm flabbergasted how we're here having these kind of conversations about someone who's passionate when he puts on his Real Madrid shirt, passionate when he plays for England. He gives it his all every time he steps across the line. And like you said, so what if he sometimes his attitude can look a bit off, but he wants to win. He's a winner.
So, in that sense, and I'm just flipping the coin a little bit. I totally agree with both of you, by the way. And I think and forgive me for saying this, but any football player that goes on to have a career, you have to have an element of arrogance about you, because that's how you fought your way to the top. And that's clearly what Jude Bellingham has. But I was just going to ask in general, can teammates have issues with players who might seem a little bit more than arrogant, maybe have a far too much of an ego? And I'm not saying this about Bellingham, I'm just putting it out there in general. I mean, Thomas Tuchel on talkSPORT not that long ago referred to him as repulsive in some of the ways that he behaves. Of course, he apologised for that afterwards. But can you have ever an issue with a player like that? Or can you sometimes forgive it because you know what they offer?
The way we behave, players behave, and the way our teammates see it and the way a manager sees it, it's totally two different things.
Right.
When I'm in the changing room with my boys and my teammates, we have a giggle. Sometimes you play up. It's all banter. But the manager may see that as this guy's, not really right. He seems like a bad apple.
I see.
But the players have a different perspective, and we love this guy. He's funny. He's cool. He's brings a bit about what we want and what we need. Some of the shy boys look at him and goes, look at Jude now being, the man. The manager may have a different view on that. I've not heard any player come out and say, yeah, Jude's not right for the dressing room. Not one single player.
Mm. But you can have a player that can upset the dressing room?
I've experienced it once or twice, yeah. I'm not going to name names.
I thought you might say that.
If I just go through my clubs, then you might be able to pick one or two out on there. But
I'm afraid I don't know Icelandic football.
No,
so.
Icelandic. Just go back to the Premier League. You'll see one or two on there.
Okay.
But no, certainly I do believe that there can be players that maybe unsettle a dressing room. I do think it's possible. But I think that ultimately it kind of comes down to, do the players back it up on the pitch? Because I always feel like when you've got the talent of Jude, you just almost demand respect, And I think players will be a little bit more forgiving, let's say, if there is any side of, the ego that might go over the top a little bit for now and again, and it might come out or be seen as ugly on occasions, as people like to label it. But for me, I just look at it and I just see pure passion. And honestly, like, I don't really care what my teammate, how he is when he's back home, what he said. I want to know that when I'm playing with him, he's passionate and he wants to win. That's what I want to know. I'm not too bothered about how he is when he hangs out with his friends. That's something separate. That's someone's personal life. But I want to know that when you're in the dressing room and you're next to me, we're going to war together. And I think Jude absolutely is someone I want to go to war with, because he gives it all, And as I said, sometimes that does spill over. But what do we want? Like we want a leader, but yet a mouse at the same time. For me, it doesn't add up.
Yeah. So by the sound of it, you're both in agreement. He's definitely on the plane.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're suggesting he's the number 10, well, actually, I should ask you, does he start in the World Cup?
Yes, Natalie. He starts.
Okay. All right. So I agree with that. But who is going to be alongside him in that sort of role? Because we assume that Tuchel will pick maybe one or two others, but you've got Foden in there, Palmer, Rodgers, Gibbs-White as a potential 10 as well, who has been called up by Thomas Tuchel as well. So who are we cutting?
Well, I think Gibbs-White obviously is still new to the team and
yeah.
His international career is still fresh. So I think that's the easy one to cut. Okay. Then after that, for me personally, it will be a toss-up between Foden and Rodgers. I think reason B is that for England, Foden is not the same player as for Man City. I've not watched a game for England and think, oh my God, Foden stood out. He scored or he's very quiet. I don't know if that was before because he's playing out of position, but there's something about when he puts on an England shirt, he's not at the races at the same standard as when he's at Man City. I don't know if it's the players he's got around him, Pet's formation, Pet's style of play that suits Foden better. I think for England, he's not the same.
All right, so you're cutting Foden as well. So by the suggestion, then it's Palmer and Rodgers both going as well.
Palmer, I think once he's fit, I think has to go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Palmer, if he's fit, he has to be on the plane, because I love the fact that you could just give him the ball anywhere on the pitch at any minute. He doesn't care. Like, he is, I suppose, the cold Palmer, right? He's as cold as ice. He just wants the ball, and he's another maverick, right? He's another character. Like, he has a swagger about him, and I'm a big fan of Cole Palmer, so I would definitely include him. I think, unfortunately, actually not unfortunately, because I'm not the one choosing it, but I would probably leave out Morgan Gibbs-White, and I would then go with Morgan Rodgers, because I'm a Foden fan. I do actually hear what you're saying, though, about him not having performed for England as well as what he does for City. I do agree, but I just think he's too talented to leave out. And I do believe he's a game changer. I think if given the confidence and the love that Pep obviously clearly gives him, I do believe that he could be that for England.
It's 50 for me. It's a 50-50. Either or Morgan or Foden could drop out.
I mean, Thomas,
he's got a pickle on his own.
Thomas Tuchel does love Morgan Rodgers, though.
There you go.
That is the problem that we've witnessed in the last few camps, is that he has. I mean, when he didn't pick Bellingham, it was because he wanted the consistency of the camp previously and how well they had done, and he was talking about the love for Morgan Rodgers, like he's talked about the love for Elliot Anderson, for example, players that I totally agree with you. Yeah. But players, maybe a year or so ago, we weren't really talking as much as we are now as being part of the England setup. It's a great headache for Thomas Tuchel in the sense of the plethora of options that he has. Do you really want to go into coaching when you've got a headache like that?
It's a great headache to have. Wow, what a headache to have to choose between 5 unbelievable number 10s. I'm almost dismissing Morgan Gibbs-White. Like I wouldn't dismiss him in any other team. It's only because of the talent that is there with England that I'm thinking, okay, you'd probably miss out. But I wouldn't mind Morgan Gibbs-White to coach on a Saturday, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, we've still got time for Thomas Tuchel to whittle it down, but we look forward to seeing who we will pick. OK, on the way next, we will look ahead to the return of the Premier League after the international break. Get Steven's take on some of his former sides. Very true. This is Kickoff on talkSPORT. Thank you very much for joining us this Thursday evening. I'm Natalie Sawyer, and with me in the studio it's Jermaine Pennant and also former Premier League defender Steven Caulker. By the way, at half-time, Peterborough lead Stockport by 2-0. They have gone in a... what was I going to say here? Start again. Luke Williams, that's what I was going to say. He's their new manager. He's unbeaten, which is quite impressive. And this will be a 4th win in a row in all competitions for Peterborough under Luke Williams. And they lead Stockport, who are 2nd in League One as well. So it's so far so good for Peterborough tonight. Let's turn our attention, shall we, to Premier League football as it makes its return after the international break. And we're going to talk about a couple of your sides, if you don't mind. Liverpool being one.
Yep.
Jermaine, obviously.
Yep.
They take on Nottingham Forest on Saturday afternoon. Before we kind of just in general talk about that game, maybe get your thoughts, Stephen, on Liverpool right now. And, you know, in the summer, with all the money that they were spending, everyone was thinking, crikey, they're just strengthening. They're going to get better and better and better. And yet you look at how this season has started for them. It's been really bizarre. And of course, there are many factors that you could bring into this, notably Diogo Jota and what happened with him, sadly. But what do you make of Liverpool and what's happened to them?
I think it's been a difficult start for Liverpool in many ways. Obviously, as you mentioned there, what happened over the summer, you know, of course, would have made things difficult coming back into pre-season. But I think, you know, in terms of talking about on the pitch, just having all those signings and trying to get them to gel into Arne Slot's system right away is challenging. Getting them to fit into the dressing room, the changing room, with all the different personalities, all the different egos, is difficult. Having, you know, Mo Salah now playing with a different fullback. Well, okay, last year Conor Bradley did play it quite a bit, but he doesn't have Trent linking up with Salah, how he linked up with him so nicely for so many years. That's a difference. And also, Mo Salah now has to, you know, share the limelight, right? Mo Salah's been the main star at Liverpool for a while now, other than Sadio Mané, you know, talking in the forward area. And now all of a sudden he's got Isak brought in for 120 million. He's got Hugo Ekitike brought in. I think there might be a little bit of that going on. I don't know. I'm just talking here as a player in a way, just thinking about actually all these big name signings coming to the dressing room. Mo Salah's been the big man, the main man for so long. Is that a little bit unsettling? I don't know. I'm actually keen to hear Jermaine's thoughts on that.
I think you put all of that into a blender and you've got a bit of everything. You've got, you know, Mo thinking I'm the man now. We've got Florian Wirtz, who's cost 115 million. Then you've got, like you said, Isak 125. That's big players, big name players, massive headlines, a lot of commotion on getting the Isak signing over the line. He's like thinking, well, guys, I'm still here. I'm still the main man. So he's probably got that in his back of his mind. You touched on Diogo Jota. The players are still reeling from that. You know, every time there's a game or there's a goal, they still remember him. They still celebrate for him. Every time they go in the changing room, his locker's still there. They're reminded of it every day.
You heard what Andy Robertson said after the Scotland game. He said that's all he thought about in the build-up to that game.
Yeah, and them qualifying, he thought of Diogo Jota. So it's still fresh in their memory. And yes, it's going to affect them. It's a massive loss. Not only teammate, it's some of them best mate. And that's hard to overcome just in a couple of weeks, over a couple of months. You know, it takes a long time. And like Stephen has touched on, they've got new players as well who still need to gel. I can remember when I came from Birmingham, the pressures that I was dealing with at Birmingham, then to Liverpool, are on a different scale. Everything is heightened. When you're not having a great game and you've got your fans booing, or at Birmingham, you kind of can cope with it. You kind of can deal with it. If you lose a game, you're like, all right, we've got next week. At Liverpool, everything is different. Every tackle, every pass, every goal you concede, every loss is 10 times worse. You feel it more. The expectations are sky high. And that sometimes, when you're coming into that new club, can be daunting, especially with the history that Liverpool have got. And it takes time to get used to that, to get used to what's asked of you from the fans, from the club, from the players, from the teammates. And that's what they're doing. They're just going for a little transition period.
I could certainly relate to that feeling of pressure playing for Liverpool. Absolutely. And I remember, you know, that summer after I'd been there, going to Africa, being recognised, going to India, being recognised. Everywhere I went was recognised. And it was like, hold on, like I'd been playing in the Premier League for, I think, 4 or 5 years, but I hadn't gone global like I did playing for Liverpool. The pressure is something different. It's one of the world's biggest clubs, and the expectation, as you mentioned, is so high. So I do believe the players are under a little bit of pressure. And when you don't get off to a flying start, then the pressure builds and the media jumps on your back as well. And I'm just talking about half myself here. I start to think of my teammates really having me because there's that questions going on in my head. And so I think it's tough. And for Arne Slot to manage all that, I think it's difficult. I think it's just going to take time. I don't think Liverpool are going to win the league this year, but I also don't think it's a major crisis. I just think they're having a little bit of a readjustment, and I think they'll be okay come towards the end of the season.
I mean, and it doesn't help, and this is obviously goes for every club, but especially when you're a club bedding in new players, the stop-start nature of this start to the season, because we've had 3 international breaks. Now, this is probably the best period now going forward until March because we have such an extended period, but yeah, it's the busiest period as well, so that's going to be interesting to see how everyone copes. We've got to quickly get a word on Spurs and how you feel Thomas Frank is getting on at your beloved Tottenham. And I say that with a dagger to me out.
Well, I really like him. Firstly, I think he's a top guy. Just was at Spurs training the other day, and just his aura and the way he is around the place and the way everyone speaks of him. I think he's a great people person, which is always a good place to start. And I think he's done well. I think he's got Spurs off to a really solid start. Not under easy circumstances, coming in under what was a strange ending to the Ange era. And I think that, especially what was made of it publicly, the players wanted him to stay and some didn't, and some fans wanted him, some didn't. And obviously, he left with a trophy. So I felt there was a bit of pressure on Thomas Frank walking in there and going in with new ideas and a new way of playing. But I think he's done well. And I will say, best performance I've seen with Spurs in recent years was away to Man City this season. I thought they were absolutely amazing. They have struggled with consistency, but that showed me enough to know that, Spurs on Thomas Frank are going to be good. And I hope that they do take a look at our, North London rivals, Arsenal, look up to Liverpool, who had Klopp for so many years, and Man City with Pep, and look at the consistency of keeping a manager for so many years and seeing the success that follows.
Need to build with someone, and maybe it's with Thomas Frank. Do you think they should go for Ivan Toney because there's links with him in January?
I think he'd be a really good fit. Obviously having worked with Thomas Frank before as well, I think he'd be a really good fit. There was obviously a lot of talk before he went to Saudi. He's a good player. He's a proven Premier League player. So it wouldn't take, we're talking earlier about some of the players coming into Liverpool having to take time to adjust. He wouldn't need that. He knows what the Premier League's about. And I said, and knowing that he's got a good relationship with the manager, I think puts him in a really good position.
I mean, we say that, and I should also mention that it looks unlikely because I think there are tax implications for whether he will return to the UK. It's all to do with the tax year, etc., etc. But you never know. Some agreement could come to fruition, and you never know. We could see Ivan Toney back in the Premier League. Before we head to a break, it's half-time between Chelsea and Barcelona in the Women's Champions League. So let's check in with Ian Abraham.
Chelsea won, Barcelona won. Ellie Carpenter fired Chelsea into a 16th-minute lead with a ferocious shot from just inside the penalty area with the right foot. Eva Payol, 8 minutes later, equalised after having a goal disallowed from a corner. She thrashed the ball home left-footed. And then we had Chelsea hitting a post through Captain. It was unfortunate inside the post and came out. And then a bizarre 10-minute hold-up while there was a problem with the TV connection, the game being broadcast tonight, and apparently it affected the VAR. So we had 10 minutes of the players just standing around in the freezing cold at Stamford Bridge, waiting for it all to be fixed. In the end, it was. They played the added time at the end of the first half, and it is Chelsea 1, Barcelona 1.
Ian, thank you very much. Second half updates to come. Stephen, that's it. Thank you for being with us this hour. It's been really, really nice chatting to you. If it doesn't all work out with your coaching, just let me offer this advice career-wise. Callie's been in touch. I could listen to Stephen all night. His voice is beautiful. You could do voiceover work.
That's good to hear, yeah. I hope one of your producers is right now, yeah. So no, it's been
exactly. If it's not coaching or voiceovers, it's presenting and hosting. Yeah. There you go.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Stephen. We will hopefully chat to you again soon. We are going to carry on chatting, obviously, in the next hour of the show and focus on the world of cricket as England prepares to take on Australia in the Ashes first test down under.
knows there are 20 managers in the Premier League, yeah? Well, actually, no. Around 3/4 of them are not managers. The terms manager and head coach are often used interchangeably to describe Premier League bosses, but they're actually two different jobs. So let's explain how and why. For years, fans referred to Mikel Arteta as Arsenal's manager, but I'm afraid technically...
No, I don't think so, no.
From his first day on the job, he was the Gunners' head coach. Let's pick a random moment in time, February 2025. Only 6 Premier League bosses actually held the official title of manager rather than head coach. Man City's Pep Guardiola, David Moyes of Everton, Ipswich boss Kieran McKenna, Southampton's Ivan Juric, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace and Leicester's Ruud van Nistelrooy were the only actual managers of their respective teams. Everyone else? That's right, head coach, including Ruben Amorim at Man United. He took over from Erik ten Hag, a man who had held the title of manager. Might come as a surprise that Amorim's appointment marked the first time ever that Man United had a head coach instead of a manager. But to understand why they made that decision, you also have to get what the difference is between a head coach and a manager. A manager's got a huge range of responsibilities. They're not just in charge of training and player lineups, they're also heavily involved in player sales and transfers. Critical stuff. But a head coach's role is far more focused on team training and performance on the pitch. So whereas Ten Hag was highly involved with decisions around transfers during his tenure, the intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025, there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only really in charge on the pitch. And the way things are going, it might not be long before all 20 clubs have got head coaches, and the job position of football manager in the top flight is no more.
This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT with me, Natalie Sawyer, alongside the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant. Coming up in this final hour of the show, we'll look ahead to some of the other games in the Premier League as it makes its return this weekend. And we'll have a little listen into former Liverpool winger Sadio Mané, who's been speaking today about almost joining Manchester United before making the move to Anfield. And if you want to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you as always. 03717 223344. That's the number to ring us on. You can also WhatsApp us there, or you can text us to 81089, or indeed send us an X. I'm at Natalie Sawyer. A post on X. I still don't know the lingo for that one. I still want to say tweet, Twitter, all that malarkey, but I don't know. You don't use it?
No, I don't use Twitter. I'm trying to sound like Steven.
You don't know? What?
No, I don't.
What do you mean? I know, he had a lovely voice.
He's so nice.
That's what we've been talking about.
I know.
He's got a voice.
Yeah, but I don't use Twitter, but I've got Instagram instead.
You sound a bit Aussie when you say it. I don't know. For a minute there, I just thought you was g'day, mate.
Well, we've got the Ashes coming on.
This is it. I thought you were segueing
let's get back to
into the cricket. We are going to turn our attention to the world of cricket, as England, of course, are down under ahead of the first test of the Ashes.
That's it. It's all over. Australia win in Hobart. They win the 5th test, and more importantly, They win this Ashes series 4-0.
They understand it, and they know that they're playing for the Ashes. They're the custodians of the Ashes, when loads of us has-beens and never will-be's have been there before. Now it's down to these guys.
It feels like we've got a great opportunity, more so than that I've seen in the last 15 years. We've got a great opportunity to go there and do something special.
This series is the first time since probably 10-11 where I've sat here and gone, England have got a chance.
Put the beer away, put the champagne on ice. 24 years of pain in Australia. Finally, they're beaten at home by England.
History suggests we need to start well. If you go down in the first test, it's a long way back in Australia.
They've got their best chance to beat Australia in Perth right now with the team that they've got.
It is exciting as the Ashes then gets underway in the early hours of Friday morning, 2:20. In fact, it gets underway in Perth. It is going to be exciting because, as we were hearing there, many are predicting England could do this in Australia. Now, they've not won there, I think, since 2011, so it's not an easy task by any means, and Australia do hold the Ashes after the drawn series last time around. But building up into this one, there appears to be some needle, as you would well expect, between the two sides. The stand-in captain for Australia is Steve Smith, and he aimed a bizarre swipe at former England spinner Monty Panesar on the eve of then this first Ashes test. It came from some comments made by Panesar in regard to Smith's part in the Sandpaper Gate scandal of 2018. This is what Panesar had to say. He said, Ben Stokes and the England team have got to make Steve Smith feel guilty and play on that. Say something like, I don't think it's ethical that he is the captain. I don't think he played the game fairly. Really get into him and make him feel guilty about it. We'll clarify more on what Monty Panesar was talking about in just a moment, but here's how Steve Smith responded.
I'm going to go off topic for a second here. Who of you in the room have seen Mastermind and Monty Panesar on that? Any of you? Yeah. Well, those of you who have, you'll understand where I'm coming from, and those of you who haven't, do yourself a favour because it's pretty comical. Anyone that believes that Athens is in Germany, that's a start. Oliver Twist is a season of the year, and America is a city. Doesn't really bother me, those comments. So, that's as far as I'll go with that one.
OK, so this was, as we were saying, all down to Sandpaper Gate. If you remember, or need reminding, back in 2018, Steve Smith was the captain of Australia, but he had to stand down after ball tampering became an issue within the Australian squad. And a number of players and coaches were all sort of part of it, they believe, in this scandal. I find it absolutely bizarre, his response there, I have to say, from Steve Smith, because at the end of the day, Monty Panesar, yes, may not have been brilliant in the general knowledge of Mastermind, but he has got an opinion on cricket because he's played it, so he's more than capable of having an opinion. And what Monty Panesar is saying is, it's questionable to have Steve Smith, who has basically been found guilty of some sort of cheating in the game with ball tampering. It's not particularly a good look for the Australian Cricket Board that you are picking someone who, as I say, was part of this Sandpaper Gate scandal. Yes, he may have a redemption story, and I'm not one to say you've made a mistake and you're out. I'm all for the redemptions, but I also think there is a part of me, Jermaine, that would say, yeah, we can welcome you back into the team, but I'm not sure you should be captain because it's not a good look after what's happened before.
It's not a good look, but then you've got to question, was the whole organisation in on it or know about it forever to give him the pass to say, right, we're going to put you back as captain? If it was something that he just did on his own and I'm going to go...
No, there was a number of people involved.
Then the whole organisation is a bit of a farce then. Because no sportsman, no sports, if it's the individual or team, likes to be called a cheat. It doesn't sit well with us. And especially in something like cricket as well, where it kind of it's an individual aspect as well. I know it's a team, but you know, if you the one who've got the ball and you're tampering it and you're using sandpaper, then it's frowned upon massively. And he deserves all the negative feedback that he's getting. And Monty Panesar has every right to question and say, look, he shouldn't have the armband and be the skipper. And you've got to wonder why the organisation of Australia have let this happen. I've chosen, out of all the players they've got, let's put the guy who's been banned and who's got caught cheating. Let's put him as a captain.
You're adding controversy to it that it doesn't need.
Is it mind games? Is it let's play again? Look, we're playing England. Is it mind games? Is it let's get in their heads that we put him as captain? Like, we don't care and he's one of our own. But hopefully the England players can play on that. You know, because you can say a few words, you know, when you're batting and you're walking past the batsman or he's in bat.
Well, they like a bit of sledging in cricket.
Yeah, I'm all for it. And I think if you're a cheat, then you should get called out.
Well, if you remember when he did stand down, it was a very emotional press conference and he ended up apologising to everybody involved, his parents as well. So I just don't think his response is the win that he thinks it is, because ultimately, at the end of the day, he was found to be part of the sandpaper gate with this ball tampering and therefore had to stand down as the captain, and therefore we have now rights to criticise that he's been appointed once more as in a stand-in because Pat Cummins is injured, but also just in general we can question, you know, how straight he is going to be playing the game. I'm not saying obviously that he's going to be doing anything because I'm sure he's learnt his lessons. But you can't help, as you say, with the sledging that goes on, that they might call him a cheat every once in a while. That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And a bit more, I'm sure they'll say a bit more.
The scrutiny and the eyes that are going to be on him every minute he's on that field, it's going to be intense. It's going to be hostile. And like I said, England haven't won this since 2011, a long time. So any advantage we can get over their players, over a player, and yes, Steve Smith is a key player, and he's going to be key for them. So if we can use anything, whether it's a couple of words, just go, yeah, we know what you're doing. We're watching you. Just so those mind games, you know, so be it. End of the day, you put yourself in that position.
Well, let's quickly get you the thoughts of Darren Gough, who joined Sam Ellard and John Norman yesterday on the talkSPORT's Ashes special. He spoke about what separates this year's England side from the Aussies.
This team has so much confidence. It's almost got an arrogance about them. And to beat Australia, I think you have to have that because there's no doubt whatsoever Australia, when they are performing, they bully every team they play against. And this team will not be bullied. They'll not be intimidated by Cummins and Stark and Khawaja. There's no way. I mean, if anything, I think England are going to be the ones on the front foot with more voice than any of the Australians.
Well, for all of your Ashes content, you can subscribe to the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel as well as the Following On podcast feed. You won't miss any updates with us. But as I said, it's a very early start in the early hours of the morning. 2:20 it gets underway in Perth then for the first Ashes test. OK, on the way next, the former Liverpool winger Sadio Mané has sat down for an exclusive interview with Rio Ferdinand, where he discussed almost joining Manchester United. listening in to Kickoff with the former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant and me, Natalie Sawyer. We're with you until 10 when the Sports Bar Boys take over. Now, the former Liverpool winger Sadio Mané has sat down for an exclusive interview with Rio Ferdinand on the Rio Ferdinand Presents podcast. He's been speaking about his move from Southampton to Liverpool and how he almost joined Manchester United.
We will build the team no one wants to play against. And then if we'll grow up together, and then you play every game.
Oh, that's the killer line, that one.
Manchester United called me that time, the same time. I was talking to
way.
Van Gaal. Yeah, Van Gaal.
You could have come to United?
Yeah, I was talking to Van Gaal. I want you to come to Manchester United. I said, really? He said, yeah. My question, you have the pay, you have Rooney, you have Di Maria, you have Van Persie. I think this time, what I'm going to play. If you do good training, good impression, you will play. So I was not convinced about his... I have meeting with Tottenham. I see the facility, I meet the coach, I talk to him, and I was more convinced than the Man United project. Because Man U was too many, the problem was too many big players. So for me...
This is killing me, man.
3 days after, club called me. I say, this is my club. This is the right. Yeah. And this is what I want to.
Goodness me, how history could have changed if he'd, gone to maybe Tottenham or gone to Manchester United there. But fascinating to hear, obviously, that he had conversations with both of those clubs as he was chatting there to Rio Ferdinand on the Rio Ferdinand podcast. But ultimately, Liverpool, it seemed at that point, had the bigger pull.
It just goes to show that, if you want to play, if there's a top talent out there that's available in the market, that you have to tell them what they want to hear. Even if you have different ideas yourself, even if you think, well, I want to earn his way into that team, you've got to tell him that you're one of my stars. You're going to be a star and get that player. Sometimes you've got to go out and beyond to get that player. And I'm sure now Van Gaal wished he would have said, yes, you will be a starter. You're a starter. And if you do well, you'll keep that place. It's up to you. And that's what Klopp did. Klopp said, we're going to build a team around you, and which he did with a few others.
How much did you love Sadio Mané at Liverpool?
Yeah, it was one of, obviously, Salah has been fantastic. And Firmino, that front three, I love watching it. He was so direct. He could score. His assist play. He had everything that wide players and attacking players, dream of being like. And not only that, he always played with a smile on his face. He was always smiling and a down to earth guy and a good guy. So yeah, I miss those days. But that front three.
Well, listen, this new front three that we
could be the same. Could be the same.
Gelling
it's early days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got to give that one a bit of time to work itself out, certainly. But obviously, we were hearing there and seeing, if you're watching us as we are streaming, of course, Rio Ferdinand had his head in his hands when he heard him talking about the link with Manchester United. And there's Rio thinking maybe, again, what could have been, you never know. But if we talk about this current Manchester United team right now, what do you make of them? Do you feel like they're now turning a corner under Ruben Amorim?
Look, a team like Man United, they've been so poor for Manchester United. They couldn't really get any worse. So anything better than what we've been seeing is an improvement. So it's nothing to probably, I don't know, if you're a United fan, to rave about. It's okay, we're seeing an improvement. This is still miles off what Manchester United is as a football club and is as a performance and is how we challenge. We're still nowhere near, but we're going in the right direction. This season is a lot better now, more consistency than there was last season. You didn't know if they was going to win, draw, or lose last season. Where now you've got sort of they look solid, they look better, they look in a better place. But there is still work to be done at that club.
They're unbeaten in 5 currently. They're 1-3, drawn 2 then in that run as well. They're 8 points off the league leaders at this moment in time as well, which means they're level on points with Tottenham, Villa, Liverpool and Bournemouth all on 18 points. From what you've seen then, and you're saying we're starting to see something maybe of this Ruben Amorim team, do you think we will see them in and around where they are right now come the end of the season?
I think so. Yeah, I think the position is probably true. If they strengthen in January, especially in the midfield area, I think would be key. If they, players like Adam Wharton would be a dream in that little system.
They were linked with, what was it, Carlos Belieber?
Yeah.
In the summer, unfortunately, that didn't work
100
out.
million, I think that might be just a bit out of their price range. But, players like that, putting that in that midfield, young, energetic, Conor Gallagher may be interested on loan, potentially would be a good fit, box to box, likes to get in, stuck in, challenge, break-up play. Something like that would take him to the other step and not get dominated so much in midfield. I know Casemiro's playing great, but in the longer run, longer term, they're definitely going to need legs.
And I suppose the frustrating thing will be for Manchester United in this unbeaten run that I've mentioned. Those draws have been successive 2-2 draws, coming from behind to win a point in both of them. But at the same time, for the second week in succession after that draw with Tottenham last time out, they failed to win a game after leading at the break. That'll be an element of and a source of frustration, I guess, for Amorim, thinking, come on, what could have been? Could be way up the table.
Yeah, absolutely. It is frustrating, especially so late on as well against Spurs, to find yourself, because they look like there's in cruise control to a certain part of the game, look like comfortable. And then all of a sudden, the last 7 or 8 minutes of the game, it just literally fell apart.
Yeah.
So that will be very frustrating. And, the same against Nottingham Forest, going 1-0 and then, finding themselves have to come back late. It'll be addressing that. It will be just trying to say, look, we need to be solid, because we can be. We've seen them put in a performance against Liverpool, go to Anfield, keep a clean sheet. No, they didn't get 1-2-1, but they look solid. Liverpool had to work hard for that goal. So it can be done. It's just about consistency doing it.
Does it sort of frustrate you to talk about Manchester United and Liverpool on the same points?
It's early days, but yes. It's early days, but it's not nice. The words coming out of my mouth kind of hurt. Just going to have a drink of water right now.
Oh, bless you. It's that bad. It's led to a dry throat. But it is bizarre. I mean, this is all in part to Liverpool's stuttering starts to this season, and it's bizarre because it's a win-loss scenario, win or bust essentially for Liverpool this season. 6 wins and 5 defeats, no draws in any game so far, which is quite bizarre in itself. But you have to hope that, as I mentioned with Steven earlier on, it's the stop-start thing does not help managers when they're trying to bed people in and bed players in.
It can be. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it can be a good time. You think, right, get the lads away, have a breather, take a break, let's regroup. For Liverpool, it'll probably be good after that thump into Manchester City. They probably needed this no game. Let's really focus on the training ground. I know some key players will be away, but for the other players, we can kind of drill in. Lads come back, get on it again. But sometimes when you're in a good moment, a good rhythm, and it gets broken up, that's when it can hurt you.
Yeah, it's that momentum thing, isn't it? But I suppose equally for Arne Slot, he's probably... And look, I'm surmising here. He might want to be out on the training ground, but equally, it's quite nice to have a break when things aren't going well and you've got to reset yourself. Even though you never rest as a manager, I'm sure it's 24/7. But there'll be an element of, okay, I need to fresh surroundings and let's just focus on what I can get right. That sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That reset.
100%. And that defeat would have hurt because on the back of the Real Madrid win, everybody was full of beans, full of confidence, and looking forward to this game and of that performance. And then to get that is a big kind of dagger. And okay, back at it again. Maybe we're not there yet. And so a reset could be good. And I said for the first time that I'm quite happy that we've had an international break, just to, let everything simmer out and, move on.
Yeah. All right, then. Liverpool, of course, are in action at the weekend. It's Nottingham Forest. Am I right in saying Nottingham Forest? That's right. Yes, hosting Nottingham Forest in a 3:00 kickoff at Anfield on Saturday. Okay, next up, we're going to look ahead to some of the other games we haven't yet spoken about as we look ahead to the return of the Premier League. And just a reminder, after 10, Jason Cundy, Jamie O'Hara will be taking your calls on the Sports Bar, so make sure you get your calls into them now. 03717 223344. You're tuning in to Kickoff on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. This is Kick-Off on talkSPORT, and it is Jermaine Pennant and Natalie Sawyer with you until 10. It's time for us to take a look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
This is the Premier League. This is talkSPORT, and it's about to heat up again. He's got a square ball for Neto, who rubs salt into the Wolves' wound. Burnley have just taken the lead, and it's Zian Fleming.
Chelsea looking like they're starting to become a little bit formidable. Man City going through the gears.
Oh, there we go. Jeremy Doku has just made it. Manchester City 3, Liverpool 0.
Level of performance, don't look anywhere near it. Too many players not playing well.
Stands on the cross, Joe Linton! Back-to-back home victories for the Hammers.
He's got the people skills as well as all the defensive organisational skills to be a very good manager.
Probably the nicest game of the season to watch and to play.
Here's Eze inside the penalty area, Gyökeres! It is one of English football's iconic fixtures. First time shot takes a deflection, it's in, and Richarlison scores!
This is something that is in our hands.
Yes, the Premier League is back then after the international break, and talkSPORT, of course, is the place to be. So we're going to look ahead to the first game coming your way this weekend. It's the Saturday lunchtime fixture from Turf Moor as Burnley host Chelsea, and it's live and exclusive on talkSPORT from 12:30 kicking off. The Burnley manager Scott Parker has been speaking to the media ahead of this one and said that facing Chelsea will be a tough test for his side.
Top team. I see them as a top team that have got world-class football players and an outstanding coach, and yeah, it's a tough game for us a weekend, which we understand, but yeah, I see them as being in and around it this year for sure. A very, very good team that control structured team in the way they play, with huge quality, what can make difference really. So yeah, it'd be a tough game for us, we understand that.
So he says it's going to be a tough game for Burnley, who do find themselves only outside the relegation zone because of a better goal difference. But that being said, they're unbeaten in 3 of their 5 games at Turf Moor, so not the easiest of places.
It's a very, very difficult place to go. The way they set up against the bigger teams, the teams that are going to dominate them, they make it difficult. When I watched the game against Liverpool, I was genuinely thinking, how do we break this down? How do you get behind this team? Because they set piece, they're strong, win the ball. They make that. When I talk about low block, that's an underestimate. It's a low block. It's literally every single player
it's so
almost in the
18-yard
box.
Because if you look at the stats, I mean, there's 9 goals have been scored at Turf Moor, but that's from both teams. So 5 for Burnley and 4 for the away side. So it's, as you say, it's not an easy place for an away team to go to and break that block.
Yeah, so you have to be patient, and if it wasn't for the set pieces, maybe Arsenal would have found themselves in the same situation as well. But yeah, if you don't get that early goal, the longer that game goes on, it more favours Burnley, because they start believing, the fans start believing, and then you start getting frustrated, you start rushing things. So yeah, the key ingredient here is to score early.
I mean, that was something that was a bit of an issue for Chelsea, wasn't it, against Wolves, because they went in at the break goalless and there were a few boos at half-time. Of course, they turned it around and won it 3-0 in the end, but that wasn't the easiest of first halves for them against that Wolves side. That being said, a win at Turf Moor will move them up to second and within 3 points of Arsenal. So what do you make of Chelsea under Enzo Maresca this season?
I think that they're slowly building on what they were trying to achieve. When he first took over, it was a right mess. They had almost, they did have 2 squads. They had to get rid of so many dead wood and players on fringes and whatnot. And again, these things do take time, especially when you're getting so many players, how many they bought in. It's now starting to come to plan. And, they're doing all this with ultimately their star player injured. They've still got Cole Palmer to come back and give them an extra boost. The Laps just came back. He looks, a good signing. He can give competition for João Pedro.
I was going to say, with Liam Delap, do you think he's got to have an impressive, essentially second half of the season. Could he be in Thomas Tuchel's thoughts? as an understudy to Harry Kane?
Look, if he has a great second half of the season, then why not? Because at the moment, apart from Harry Kane, we haven't really got any English strikers lighting up the league or the world or Europe or anywhere else. It's only Harry Kane who's kind of, flying that flag. So any English striker out there must be thinking, well, if I have a good second half of the season, I can put my name in this hat and I may have a chance.
Yeah. A word on Moses Caicedo. A lot of, obviously, people saying now he is the best midfielder in the Premier League at this present moment. Would you agree with that?
I would agree in that position, yes. I say, look, midfielder is a big range word there. So you've got a broad word. So defensive midfielder, he's the best. And now we're seeing why they spent so much money. I think the first part of the season and maybe 6 months of it, people's questioning and, Liverpool fans were all singing, we dodged the bullet there. With the 115 million or 100 million, we dodged the bullet. But now we're seeing why that fee was spent and what kind of player he is. He's fantastic. He breaks up so many attacking plays. He is like the Makelele, the hybrid Makelele. He's like the Kante for Leicester. So, yeah, fantastic player.
I know you said, obviously, the midfield role is quite broad, but if you had to pick one midfielder in the Premier League right now who's the best, it can be in any kind of midfield guise, what would it be?
I think at the minute it's probably a battle between probably Caicedo and maybe Rice.
I was going to say, Declan Rice has got to be in the
conversation. Yeah, he's in the conversation, but I think what Caicedo's doing at the minute is when you watch the game, he's everywhere. He's winning the ball back high up, and then next minute he's scoring or his team's scoring. It's just the blocks, everything that he's doing is really important. And those kind of players and that position we've seen over the years is so key for you to be successful. The Rodris, the Fabinho for Liverpool, all these kind of players like Kante for Leicester, that position is absolutely key. And if you get it right, you can be very successful.
Yeah. We've spoken a lot about Liverpool already on the show, but let's talk about their opponents, Nottingham Forest, who make that trip to Anfield. The Forest manager, Sean Dyche, has been speaking to the media ahead of that one and said that they'll need to be at their best to beat the Reds.
Well, overall, Arne Slot came in, they had a magnificent season last season, we know that, and the team. They've made adjustments, they've spent money, but it just goes straight in a way. It's refreshing, I think, in the sense it's not that, it's not just a given that you spend some money and it all works. But be assured, I've already spoke to our players and said, look, don't think they're suddenly bad players or bad team and all that. The media's job is to stir up a bit of energy, good or bad, about teams, But no, they're a good outfit without a shadow of a doubt. They've just had a bit of a tough spell, and that can happen. An indifferent spell, really. Because people forget, you beat Real and everyone's buzzing, and then you lose against Man City and it kind of flattens it out again. That can happen. But they're still a top side. So, I've never thought any other than when you play these sides, you've got to be ready.
Well, they've got to be ready. One of the issues for Forest this season is they haven't won on the road yet. So it's been a bit of a tricky start for them, as we know, hence why they're on to their third manager of the campaign already. But Sean Dyche is unbeaten in his last two in the Premier League, having won one and drawn one. And they beat Leeds last time out, coming from behind to do so as well. Those are the kind of confidence boosters they need going into a game like this at Liverpool.
Yeah, you need any confidence booster you can get, whether it's getting a point, drawing a game, winning a game, you need it. And if anything positive, especially going to Anfield, we know how hard it is to get a result there. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. And I think with Sean Dyche probably going into this and his players is that, look, we've got nothing to lose here. We're not expected to win. If we lose, it's not a disaster. Go out there and do what we've practiced on the training field.
Do you think they're turning a corner under Dyche?
I think what they're doing is they've gone back to what was working for them. They had a manager who was very successful in a style of play, which was, we don't have to dominate the ball, but we can counter-attack and we can counter-attack effectively. Then they got in a manager who wanted to play a total different style, more on the front foot, more attacking, and then was exposed. They've got a manager in who's similar to Nuno, but I would say a little bit more old school. And they've kind of gone back to that. and it's working for them, and is now implementing his own styles along that. So they've gone back to what they know, what was successful to them, and they're kind of getting the results so far.
They're only a point off safety. I mean, it's still. I feel like it's still very early in the season. Only 11 games played, and they're only a point off safety. The bottom three, as it stands, are Wolves, Forest, and West Ham. If you remember back to the start, before the season started, what your predictions were then to where we're at now. Is it similar, or are you expecting an outcome?
If I remember correctly, I said it would be Sunderland would be relegated. Okay. I followed by Burnley, and I said Leeds would scrape out of it, and I think I threw in two. I'm sorry, Natalie, but I threw in Brentford. Okay. Because a lot went on. You lost your manager, you lost Mbeumo.
It's still early.
Captain.
I keep saying it's still early.
So I had Brentford, and I possibly put in Wolves. Was going to be fighting down there.
Okay.
So it's slightly changed. Brentford are definitely out.
Do you think that? I mean, I keep caveating it with it so early in the season. We just don't know what's going to happen. And when you think about, and I'm talking broadly here, the impact of AFCON. Players are going to be leaving and going to that tournament. Sunderland are going to lose a few players. I mean, I know Brentford's losing at least one player. So there are a number of teams that are going to be hampered by this. You even look up the top end, Liverpool, with Mo Salah, for example. There will be a lot of teams that are just going to find it a little bit of an odd month or so when those players aren't around.
Yeah, it is a tricky period. And I can remember when Sadio Mané and Salah went, and somehow they managed to pick up wins without those pair, and thank God. But it could be difficult for the teams who rely on those players. Like you look at Man United, their star man at the minute, Mbeumo, he'll be gone. So it's interesting times for teams who have got a lot of AFCON players.
And that's why you're saying to Liverpool, get in Semenyo now.
Yes. Because if we need someone on that right, he can play on the right, for sure. I know he likes to play on the left, but we've seen him play left and right, and I think we're going to need another Pirates, an attacking forward just in case. Just in case if we want to be competing on all fronts.
Hey, you never know. Right, that was all thanks to Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
The Big Preview on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
I tell you what, Peterborough under Luke Williams are just flying. Although that won't be the case when you look at the League One table, but they're 3-0 up at home to Stockport, who are second in the table. But my goodness, it's now 3-0 that Peterborough lead. It's a result that takes them to just a point from safety. And after a difficult start under Darren Ferguson, Luke Williams has come in and he's unbeaten so far in all competitions, and this looks to be a really, really impressive victory for Peterborough in this home game as well. We'll bring you the full-time score on that, no doubt, and check in with how Chelsea are faring in the Women's Champions League with Ian Abrahams, I'm sure, a little bit later on. But we'll continue our build-up to the weekend's Premier League action by looking at Sunderland, who take on Fulham, and West Ham, who travel to Bournemouth. You're tuning in to kick off on talkSPORT with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org. going to get you going out to the old club. This one, Jermaine. This is Kick-Off. Thank you very much for joining us. It is former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant, who is alongside me, Natalie Sawyer, and in around about 10 minutes' time, the Sports Bar will be on your way. But let's continue our look ahead to this weekend's Premier League return. And fourth place, Sunderland. Goodness me, how Sunderland fans must be loving life right now. Travel to Fulham at the weekend. Their gaffer, Regis Lebris, has been speaking to the media ahead of that one and says that he expects a difficult game at Craven Cottage.
They are really efficient at home. They can create chances in different ways. They are really proactive, good side, good players, good experience from the coaching staff. So really efficient. I don't really understand why they struggle away, but we won't play away. So it's not the main topic for this this game. So another tough challenge. We know that in this Premier League, we can't play an easy game. It doesn't exist. And this one will be another tough one.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right about the efficiency of Fulham at Craven Cottage. They are unbeaten in 4 of their 5 games, winning 3 of them, and they've only conceded 3 at home. So again, like we were talking about Turf Moor, just not the easiest of places to go.
Yeah, there's a pattern that we're kind of seeing, is that home advantage for some reason this season is absolutely huge. It's massive, and a lot of teams, bar Spurs, seem to be doing very well at home, and that's where they're going to be competitive and successful, is their home record. And I think any game in the Premier League now, is tough, especially when you're going away from home. Especially for the teams, 8th downwards or 6th downwards are going to have a right fight on their hands. And it could go either way. But yeah, home advantage, it's always been a thing. But for some reason this season, it seems more so important.
Yeah, especially as you say, and as Regis Lebris touched on there, they haven't won on the road yet. Fulham lost 5 of their 6 games away from home. 4 of their 6 fixtures before Christmas are at home as well. So those are the kind of games they're going to have to really aim for 3 points in all of them to pull away from the relegation pact that they are kind of involved in, because they're only a point clear of the bottom 3.
Yeah, just touched on it. I think you need to win your own games if you can. It's imperative you do that. And I think, like I said, 4 of the 5 at home, that winning, 3 of those would be a massive leap, a massive jump on other teams.
Yeah.
So you have to take advantage of, if you've got 4 home games on the bounce, you need to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Marco Silva's future has been discussed a fair bit recently. Suggestions of Shahid Khan flying over to have discussions with him. His contract runs out in the summer. As a player, if you start hearing about conversations taking place with the owner, which might be just about a new contract, but equally we're not quite sure, and the fact that he's out of contract, is that an unsettling time for players?
It is. Sometimes we don't listen to too much, but if at the end of the day, the closest next thing to the players is your manager. And, the hierarchy we don't really see, we don't really talk about, we don't really know what's going on. But if there's rumours and murmurs that, he's not signing or he may leave, some players may have a very good relationship with Marco and think, I don't want him to go, and is it going to affect me now? Who's going to come in? Are we going to see eye to eye? Am I going to be his first choice? And there'll be some players like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get the back of him. This new manager may give me a chance now. So it goes both ways, but it does have an effect, because you do talk about it in the changing room. You do, before the change room, you're getting changed. You do have the conversation. Do you think he's going to stay? Do you think he's going? Who do you think we're going to get replacement? What do you think he's going to be like? You have those kind of conversations.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening with Marco Silva, but we await to find out, certainly. Let's finish off with West Ham, who travelled to Bournemouth on Saturday. The Hammers will be looking to make it 3 wins on the bounce, and the Cherries will be hoping to avoid losing 3 games in a row. The West Ham manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, has been speaking to the media ahead of it and has praised the job that Andoni Iraola has done at Bournemouth.
This is a lot of his quality and the good players. Some players go out, but you bring good players also. So Bournemouth is a very good team, and Andoni, I admire him. I know him from some while now. In more than anything, is what we're going to face at Bournemouth on the Saturday. Is a tough opponent.
You were talking earlier on about maybe the international break came at the right time for Liverpool. For West Ham and West Ham fans, they might be thinking, oh, what a time for us to have a break when they won 2 on the bounce.
Yeah, they're thinking we don't need this right now. Let these games come thick and fast, please. I think we're starting to see why Nuno got the job. He's a great manager. You know, he put Forest from nowhere to champions, to European football.
Yeah.
And, you know, he came in a struggling West Ham team when the last manager thought that they may get relegated. They're destined for relegation, but he's came in now, he steadied the ship. And it took a few games to get his identity, to get the players learning how he wants to play. And now we're seeing the Nuno way.
Mm-hmm.
And he's successful. He's successful at Forest, and now he's being successful at West Ham.
And having won one of their first 10 games, they've now won the last 2. So it feels like they're starting to turn that corner under Nuno. It just took a bit of time, maybe, for him to imprint on the players what he wanted. And as for Bournemouth, they've lost their last 2 and conceded 7 in that run as well. Slightly alarming times, or is it just, you know, the course of a season?
I think, look,
highs and lows.
We're talking about Bournemouth. We're not talking about a team who are a top 4 team. So they are going to go, you know, through dips. They're going to go through high. They're going to go through lows. And right now, you would say they're probably overachieving, and they're doing, you know, really well. Albeit they got 4 put past them, but that was Man City, and they're on a fantastic, you know, bit of form. They put 3 past Liverpool as well, so that's nothing to be ashamed of, Bournemouth. But they're in a good place. I know they've lost a couple of games and not been great, but like we just touched on there, they're going to have these performances.
Well, in the main, when you think about who they lost in the summer, it didn't feel as though they were having to go through a big transformation, because it was a shock, but they started off all right. We weren't thinking, crikey, this is a team who are struggling, considering they lost a lot, that back 4 in particular.
I was questioning, what are you doing? You've lost 3 key players. And you've lost players, not just gone to some Mickey Mouse club. You've lost one player gone to Liverpool, another's gone to PSG, the European champions, and then one's gone to Real Madrid. That's top team. So you're losing top players there.
Not bad scouting.
Not bad scouting. So to lose such high quality players, you're thinking, are you going to recover from that? But for somehow they seem to do it. They know how to lose players but get players in.
Yeah. Well, Jermaine, that is it. Thank you very much.
As pleasure as always, Natalie.
Don't forget, Burnley take on Chelsea on Saturday, and it's our lunchtime game day exclusive. Kicks off at 12:30. Game Day Live will then take you around the grounds for all the 3 o'clock kickoffs, keeping you right up to date with all the goals and incidents as they happen with Adrian Durham and the team on Saturday afternoon on talkSPORT. But coming up next here on talkSPORT, it is the Sports Bar, Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy coming your way.